Chapter 181. Tang San hollowed out Yu Xiaogang. Xiao Wu felt deeply grateful to the alchemist as she listened. She owed him a sincere compliment. "I use them to raise spirit beasts," she said earnestly. "I have a nearly century-old tiger at home. It's fierce. This pill would really help." The shop manager bowed respectfully. "That's wonderful, Miss Xiao Wu. The stealth pill is practically yours now. I'll reserve it for you from here on." Watching the manager's obsequiousness, Tang San's heart filled with disgust. Did the man honestly think he was being clever? A nearly century-old spirit beast was not something an ordinary household could raise. The food, the danger, the need for a spirit master to keep watch, this would belong to a family of at least a spirit king, maybe a spirit emperor. Xiao Wu clearly wasn't from that caliber of household. She didn't have that many gold coins, yet she desperately needed the pill. Could she actually be a transformed spirit beast? That would explain everything. The young miss would feed it a pill to hide its aura, then adopt it later. A terrible idea, thought Tang San. The manager seemed to have guessed the truth, and his heartbeat raced with the possibility, but Tang San pushed the thought aside. If the truth came out and something went wrong, the manager's clan wouldn't be able to make up for it. "Thank you," Xiao Wu said gratefully. The manager brightened further. This was her spirit ring and spirit bone. He had to serve the young miss well. Maybe, he thought, he could become manager of the main store someday. It would be a promotion that would change his life. Nearby, Tang San's eyes widened and his hands trembled slightly. Alchemists actually existed in this world. In his previous life, so-called alchemists were mostly Taoist tricksters, but here they were real, capable of refining pills that could hide a spirit beast's aura. It was outrageous. If a spirit Douluo could tell Xiao Wu's identity well enough to prompt her to buy these pills, then the danger was real. Damn it, Tang San thought. "Yu Xiaogang, Flender, Zhao Wuji, you brought this on us." If they hadn't caused Yu Luomian and the three spirit Douluo to come to Thunder Academy, Xiao Wu wouldn't be worried about exposure and wouldn't have to spend gold on pills. How long would these pills last? No, he needed more money. If something happened to Xiao Wu, her spirit ring and spirit bone would be in trouble. Spending some money now to guarantee safety was necessary. Deciding quickly, Tang San returned to Thunder Academy. He slipped quietly through Yu Xiaogang's door. The wooden hinge gave a faint creak that the wind helped hide. The room smelled faintly of medicine. Flender said it was to restore Yu Xiaogang's body, but Tang San knew most of it were expired herbs. Whether Yu Xiaogang would die from them or not was not his concern. Yu Xiaogang lay on the bed, face pale, breathing weak. Tang San cast him a cold glance. A flash of disgust crossed his eyes. Then he controlled himself and went to work. He tiptoed to the bookshelf and ran his fingers over the spines, looking for something hidden. Book after book slid free, but they were empty and dust-coated. Of course, when had this wastrel ever read? Under the bed, there was nothing but old shoes and accumulated dust. Tang San muttered under his breath. The room was tiny. Where else could the item be hidden? He opened the wardrobe, tapped the wooden panels, and rifled through the clothes. His hand brushed a hard little object in a secret pocket of an old robe. His face lit up. He carefully extracted a palm-sized wooden box, its surface polished smooth from years of handling. He glanced at Yu Xiaogang on the bed, then gently opened the box. Inside lay a gilded card, the kind issued by the Spirit Hall. Because carrying hundreds of thousands of gold coins was inconvenient, people stored money with the Spirit Hall and received these cards for transactions in return. Tang San touched the card and frowned in satisfaction. A card like this meant a lot of money. He didn't hesitate. He closed the box, put everything back exactly as he had found it, and slipped out. He met Xiao Wu briefly, but said little, leaving in a hurry. Moments later, Tang San emerged from the Spirit Hall, stunned. The card contained 100,000 gold coins. He couldn't understand how his teacher would have that much money, but it was there, and it was his now. With this, he could buy all the metal he needed and make sure Xiao Wu was safe. He had never felt so relieved. "Oh, Tang San just came out of the Spirit Hall?" Xiao Ze asked Ning Rongrong. She was nibbling on a slice of iced watermelon like a little hamster. "Yes," Ning Rongrong said, mouth full. Someone saw Tang San carrying a Spirit Hall card. He looked so happy, it must have a lot of money on it. Xiao Ze grinned. That's perfect. Xiao Wu bought 30 stealth pills today. I was worried Tang San was broke. I wonder where he got so much gold. Who cares? It'll all end up in our pockets sooner or later, Ningrungrung said, smiling. If a gold coin falls in Heaven Do City, half of it belongs to our family. Xiao's words were exaggerated, but not entirely false. The Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School ran a massive operation. In a capital like Heaven Do City, they handled a large share of commerce. Their influence across the Heaven Do Empire was considerable, so Tang San's windfall would indeed prove useful. Chapter 182. No. 5 days later. Bang! What good are you? 5 days. 5 days. You haven't found a single lead. What good are you to me? Second Master Yuluomian slammed his palm onto the table, spittle flecking the faces of the people seated before him. Second Master Yuluomian, this really isn't our fault, one man protested, looking aggrieved. We investigated all over Heaven Do City. Some people saw the dean and Yu Xiaogang leave the city, but after that, they vanished. The place where the dean died is very remote. And what about Yu Xiaogang? Did anyone see him near Heaven Do City? Yuluomian demanded. One witness said Flender carried him into the city, but whether that was inside Heaven Do City or outside, we can't be certain, the man admitted, shaking his head. Yuluomian's face hardened. It looks like everything is going to fall on Yu Xiaogang. Once he wakes, we'll have a better idea. We should act now. The first elder said quietly. Yes, the second elder agreed. It's already been 5 days. We can't wait any longer. The 5 Elements Academy competition is in 20 days. Xiao Ze never formed a team before he died. We still have to handle this. The competition may not be a world-shaking event, but it matters to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan's reputation. We at least need the top 2 spots. Yuluomian nodded. Whether or not Yu Xiaogang gives us answers today, we must form a team. Choose candidates in line with the competition requirements. This team will also be the one we send to the Soul Master competition a year from now. And the students Yu Xiaogang brought? The first elder asked. They're already students of our academy. Let them compete with the team. Even if they lack thunder attribute spirits, I care only about results. Descendants or not, if they help us win, they can go, Yuluomian said, tapping the table. Understood. The Thunder Academy was composed mostly of members from the Yu family of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan, with a few outsiders who controlled thunder attribute spirits. Thunder itself favored raw power, so most thunder attribute spirit masters were pure attackers. The academy was short on support and control spirit masters, only 2 in fact. If an enemy exploited that imbalance, a team without coordination would be vulnerable. Let's go. We'll see my nephew, Yuluomian said. The air in Yu Xiaogang's room was stale. Yuluomian stood with his hands clasped behind his back. 2 tall elders flanked him. The presence of a spirit Douluo-level powerhouse made the room feel chillingly cold. Flender hovered by the bed, brows knit, eyes darting between Yu Xiaogang and Yuluomian. Under Yuluomian's imposing glare, he could do nothing but shrink back. Before he left, he cast a long, worried look at Yu Xiaogang. He couldn't afford a dead client. His payment hadn't come through yet. Then he shut the door behind him. Yuluomian stared down at the motionless figure on the bed, his expression one of thinly veiled disgust. He lifted a single finger, and a thread of lightning, like a venomous serpent, shot out, wrapping around and binding Yu Xiaogang's body. Ah! Ah! Yu Xiaogang screamed. Flender stepped back and hurried away. This was no business of his. So long as Yu Xiaogang lived, he'd be fine. Otherwise, the consequences would heave down on him too. He left the room. Yu Xiaogang arched backward as convulsions racked him. The lightning wasn't fatal, but it felt like maggots gnawing at his bones. Every muscle spasmed, every nerve burned. His blurry vision began to clear as consciousness crawled back into his head, but the electricity kept crawling over his skin, forcing involuntary twitches. Yu Xiaogang? Yuluomian roared. Yu Xiaogang flinched and turned his head. Seeing the 3 figures beside his bed, his pupils shrank and his face went ashen. See, second uncle, elders. His voice was nothing but a husk. His whole body trembled. Flender hadn't been caring for him properly. He'd only done the minimal, calling others to handle the rest. Without that, Yu Xiaogang would have been in a worse state. Yuluomian sneered, then suddenly seized the collar of Yu Xiaogang's robe and hauled him upright. How dare you? Thunder echoed as he shouted, making the whole room resonate. See? Second uncle, what are you talking about? Yu Xiaogang stammered, still dazed. He thought he'd seen Yu Ze die. How could he be here now? And why were Yu Luomian and the elders confronting him? Don't play innocent. Did you hire someone to kill Yu Ze? Yu Luomian accused bluntly. Yu Xiaogang felt a cold drop of dread sink in his stomach. He had no idea what had happened, nor any motive to kill Yu Ze. If the elders already knew the truth, they would have killed him long ago. They were trying to intimidate him. He forced his voice to sound frightened and weak. Second uncle, it wasn't me. Yu Ze and I went out to look for treasure. We were ambushed in a forest. I'm useless. I couldn't fight back, so I came back. It's nothing to do with me. He kept up the act, and Yu Luomian watched him closely for a long beat, looking for a tell. Did you see who did it? Yu Luomian asked. Yu Xiaogang swore under his breath at the thought. Of course he'd been scared to death. Flender and the others had been useless. If they'd woken him sooner, maybe he could have told them more. He finally managed. They all wore masks. Their spirits varied. Assassins? Probably. Useless, Yu Luomian spat, and he flung Yu Xiaogang back onto the bed. Yu Xiaogang gasped as pain hit his back. He tried to turn over, but something felt horribly wrong. His gaze dropped to his left arm, and the sight stole the air from his lungs. His left arm was gone. No, he choked, gasping brokenly. His pupils constricted violently, the color draining from his face as blood seemed to congeal in his veins. Yu Luomian regarded him with cold contempt. You couldn't even protect your own left arm. Someone like you doesn't belong in the Yu family genealogy. No one would accept you. No, Yu Xiaogang cried, the sound tearing from him as the shock finally broke into outright terror. A heart-wrenching wail rose up and then abruptly cut off. Yu Xiaogang's eyes rolled back and he collapsed, completely unconscious. The two elders exchanged a look. He'd fainted just from losing an arm. His mental resilience was clearly weak. Plenty in the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan had lost limbs and didn't react like this. Worthless. You want to faint? Not so easy. A cold light flickered in Yu Luomian's eyes. He spread his fingers, and a brilliant bolt of lightning stabbed into Yu Xiaogang's chest. The man convulsed as electricity coursed through him, bounced upright, then slumped back down. His eyelids fluttered, but there was no anger, no fear, only a dull, bloodshot emptiness. He lay like a corpse, lashes still, letting the lightning scorch him without response. The first elder cautiously raised the current. Yu Xiaogang's muscles twitched. His stare remained vacant. The three exchanged glances. Did the loss of his left arm shock him too badly? The first elder asked. Seems so, the second elder said. We've zapped him and he won't respond. Looks like he's given up. I wanted answers, but not like this, Yu Luomian said helplessly. Doesn't matter. Second Master Yu Luomian, let's get on with the selection. We need to form the team. Other things can wait, the first elder replied. Yu Ze's dead. Knowing the truth later won't change that. Fortunately, only our Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan and Thunder Academy know. We just need a gag order. He hated Yu Xiaogang the most. Reputation mattered above all, and Yu Xiaogang had always skirted the line. If the chance had come, he'd have killed him long ago. Losing an arm improved the first elder's mood considerably. Lose another tomorrow, and the rest would follow. Death was just a matter of time. A small relief. Fine. The three left slowly. They hadn't gone far. Flender had stayed nearby. When he saw them leave, he crept back into the room. Yu Xiaogang's lifeless form made his heart skip. Damn it, nothing worse had happened, had it? His money hadn't been returned yet. Flender seized Yu Xiaogang by the collar and hauled him up. Yu Xiaogang, snap out of it, he hissed, keeping his voice low so Luomian and the elders wouldn't hear. Yu Xiaogang swayed, his empty left sleeve hanging like a dead limb. Look at you. Don't think dying will solve anything. Our problems aren't over. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan are outside, watching like tigers. Yu Xiaogang's lashes trembled, but he didn't respond. Flender's anger flared. His concern was less for Yu Xiaogang than for his lost gold. He leaned close and whispered, What about your theories? You've spent half your life on the 10 core competencies of spirits. Are you just going to give up on them? That one sentence jolted through Yu Xiaogang like a spike. His pupils narrowed, his clouded gaze sharpened, and finally he focused on Flender's face. You're right. His voice was low but steady. Flender let him slump back onto the bed. Awake, then stop the theatrics. He handed a glass of water to Yu Xiaogang. After a few sips, Yu Xiaogang's throat cleared. Tell me everything, he said. Flender filled him in on what had happened in detail, finishing with, and don't forget the 5,000 gold. Yu Xiaogang's face went dark. The whole Ye family is butchering us. That's the truth, but what can we do? Who knew we were on bad terms with her daughter? Flender said with a grim shrug. After Xiao Ze crippled me, you brought me back and healed me, and then 3 days later, you Luomian and the others showed up. I never expected they'd come to such a remote place. Things are complicated, Yu Xiaogang said, calm beyond his usual self. Find Zhao Wuji later. We'll coordinate our stories, but keep them vague. Too precise, and it creates trouble. Flender nodded. Yu Xiaogang glanced at his left arm, brows tightening. Flender put a hand on his shoulder. The nine-hearted sea tang is good at healing, but it can't regrow severed limbs. We did preserve your arm. There's still a chance a more powerful spirit healer in the future could restore it. That's some hope, Yu Xiaogang said. By the way, what are you Luomian and the others doing now? They're dealing with the team selection. Xiao Ze died too soon. The 5 Elements Academy's competition team, starting in 20 days, hasn't been finalized. Apart from the highest-ranked Yu Tianheng and Yu Tianxin, there are at least 5 more slots and some substitutes to choose. Yu Xiaogang's eyes lit up. That's our chance. You actually think Yu Luomian will let Tang San and the others go? Flender asked, surprised. You don't understand my second uncle, Yu Xiaogang said. He's ambitious. He may not want the sect master's title, but he runs things efficiently. For the sake of the competition ranking, he'll pick the 7 strongest. That means besides Yu Tianheng and Yu Tianxin, the other 5 slots are up for competition. People from Shrek Academy could still make it. Flender's face brightened. So Yu Ze's death had some benefit after all. Let's go take a look, Yu Xiaogang said, pushing himself up. First, give me the gold, my money, Flender protested, holding him back for a moment. You and your obsession with money, Yu Xiaogang muttered, but a small smile tugged at his lips as they moved toward the door. Chapter 184, Simple and Crude. Yumian Yuxiang dragged his stiff body toward the wardrobe, each step an effort. His left sleeve hung empty, only his right hand remained, trembling as he fumbled in the pocket of an old robe. It should be here, he muttered, and at last his fingertips brushed the familiar wooden box. Before he could pull it out, Flender snatched it from him impatiently. What are you dawdling for? Let me see. Flender opened the box, and his expression went dark. It was empty. Yu Xiaogang, he growled through his teeth. Are you kidding me? Where are the gold coins? Yu Xiaogang, stunned, grabbed the box back and stared. The interior was bare. This can't be. His voice went higher as panic clawed at him. He gripped the box's edge until his knuckles whitened. Where's my card? Where are my 100,000 gold coins? A moment later, his chest heaved, his face flushed, and he coughed up a mouthful of fresh blood. The red splashed across the wooden box. Yu Xiaogang's vision dimmed, and he collapsed backward. Flender fumbled to catch him, patting his face and muttering as he did. 100,000 gold coins. Where would this guy have gotten so much money? He looked at Yu Xiaogang's pale face anew, and a chill ran through him. This was probably more than a simple mistake. After all, Yu Xiaogang was from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. His father was a sect master and could have easily given him tens of thousands. If the money was missing, someone must have taken it. He shook Yu Xiaogang's cheek. Wake up! Wake up! What do you think we were summoned here for in such a hurry? Ma Hongjun asked, voice low. It could be about Dean Yu Ze. After all, he's dead, Dai Mubai said, looking around. Tang San sighed inwardly. Only he and a few teachers knew the full truth. They wouldn't betray them. If word got out, the dean, the vice dean, and his own teacher would be ruined. Xiao Wu, in a rare bright mood, nudged him. Lately, Little San had somehow ended up giving her 10,000 gold coins, and she'd immediately blew it on 100 stealth pills, enough to last a long time. If Yu Luomian and the others left Thunder Academy, she wouldn't have to be so careful anymore. She could stop taking the pills even to sleep, or else discovery would turn her into a spicy rabbit head. Nothing, Tang San answered. I was just thinking about what Yu Luomian and the others will do today. Could this be about that incident? Xiao Wu asked. Probably not, Tang San shook his head. That kind of thing is too embarrassing. They'd want to investigate it themselves. Even if they find nothing, they can only endure the shame silently. They wouldn't make a public fuss. That would be humiliating. So what do you think it is, little San? Oscar asked. Beside him, Ning Yoyo was clinging to his arm. She'd used the seductive skills she'd learned from Zhu Linlin to win him over. Now she was training him, and Oscar was slowly becoming a T-tier simp. Ning Yoyo was impressively resourceful. Zhu Linlin and Dai Mubai were unchanged. Play now if they could, play later if they couldn't. Everyone soon gathered in Thunder Academy's plaza. It wasn't only the Shrek group. Many students and teachers from Thunder Academy were there too. Most who came were spirit elders and above. Those below hadn't been called. Tang San understood immediately. This was likely the prelude to a practice match against the Five Element Academies and Heaven Do Royal Academy. Yu Luomian and two other elders mounted the high platform, and the crowd fell silent. He nodded once, composed. Teachers and students of Thunder Academy, he began. In 20 days, our academy will participate in a practice match for the elite tournament of Advanced Soul Master Academies with Blazing Sun, Divine Wind, Heaven Water, Elephant Armor, and Heaven Dew Royal Academy. Although it's only a practice match, it's very important for us. Among the 6 academies, Thunder Academy must place at least 3rd. We should aim for 1st. Good, a roar of approval rose up. Tang San's mouth twitched at the speech. The flattery was obvious. Yu Luomian pressed his hands down, and silence fell again. Thunder Academy is no longer just an academy of lightning spirits. We now have many students of other attributes as well. All eyes flicked to the Shrek group. Apart from them, almost everyone present still had lightning-attributed spirits. Tsk, do they even have the face to show up? Someone whispered. Who knows? If it weren't for them, the dean might not have died, another muttered. A bunch of jinxes. All right, enough. Yu Tianheng shouted angrily from the crowd. After all, Yu Luomian had been the one to invite the Shrek students. If they were jinxes, Yu Tianheng would be on the hook. Even if nothing turned up, this mess would complicate the future sectmaster selection. The current generation had both Yu Tianheng and Yu Tianxin as strong candidates, and only one could become sectmaster. The Shrek members' faces turned grim, but there was nothing to be done. Dean Xiao Ze had died after they arrived. There was no easy way to plead innocence. Yu Luomian ignored the gossip and continued. We need 7 main team members and 7 substitutes. If you're named among the 14 this time, you will not only be part of the match team, but will also represent us in the Soul Master competition. As soon as he said that, the crowd stirred, hearts beating faster. The Soul Master competition was a continent-wide event. Winning it would make their academy the strongest on the continent. Dean, how do we select the 14? Someone couldn't hold back. Yes, Dean, let's start. My hands are itching. Let's begin. Yu Luomian allowed himself a small smile at their enthusiasm. His plan would rile them up and make them fight for it. Perfect. It was an academy-wide selection. Anyone strong enough could enter. Haha, I know you're all impatient, but listen, our selection is simple. We'll set up 14 arenas in the plaza. If you want to be a team member, get onto an arena, defend your arena, and you become one of the 14. It was blunt and direct, simple and crude, just like Yu Luomian's style. But Dean, wouldn't that just be a round robin? We can't keep fighting forever, someone asked. Exactly. That's not possible, Yu Luomian replied. The selection will last 15 days. Each person on an arena can be challenged at most 5 times per day. If you're still standing after 5 challenges, you've defended your position for that day. On the final day, only the 14 people still standing on the arenas will be eligible to enter Thunder Academy. But there's one strict requirement. Those 14 must each have defended their position successfully on at least 5 separate days. He added the last point to prevent anyone from gaming the system, resting for the first 14 days and then challenging on the last. That kind of maneuver had to be blocked. Hearing this, everyone nodded. The rules were simple and practical, demanding but manageable. Dean, I have a question. Ning Yuyu raised her hand. Go ahead, Yu Luomian said. He knew Ning Yuyo's talent, the 7 treasure glazed tile spirit, and had long hoped to recruit her. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan could benefit from having more of those spirits, but they had to be careful not to provoke the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School. What about support system spirit masters like us? Ning Yuyo asked. You can't just exclude support types, can you? That's right, Dean. We don't have combat power, someone else chimed in. We want to compete too. Yu Luomian nodded. I already considered that. Of the 14 spots, at least 3 are reserved for support system spirit masters. We'll set up 3 arenas where support abilities are judged against each other. I've also reserved 1 spot specifically for a healing system spirit master. That leaves 10 open positions to contest. Everyone agreed. That seemed fair. The remaining slots would be open to agility attack, heavy attack, control, and defense system spirit masters. Any other questions? If not, we start now, Yu Luomian asked. No more, Ning Yoyo replied with a wide smile. With her 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda in hand, no other support system spirit master dared challenge her. Thunder Academy had very few support spirit masters, and none stronger than Ning Yoyo, so her place was all but secure. With the others silent, Yu Luomian declared the selection competition open. Yu Xiaogong's eyes fluttered open. Consciousness returned slowly. He stared at Flender by his bed with a mixture of grief, indignation, and a rare flicker of panic. Flender, I really did have that card. 100,000 gold coins in my Spirit Hall card. It's gone. He gripped the bedsheet so hard his knuckles whitened. His left sleeve hung empty and limp. He looked disheveled and raw. Flender sighed, patted his shoulder, and said, I believe you. How long have we known each other? Pushing his glasses up, a light shining off the lenses, he added, The urgent thing is to find out who stole your card. How do we even start? Yu Xiaogong asked, agitated. He counted off possibilities with trembling fingers. First, who had access to my room? Second, who knew where I hid the money? Third, has anyone acted suspiciously around me lately? You should know who had access, Flender said. When you woke, it was only you and me. You don't think I'd steal from you? Nonsense. If you wanted it, you'd have taken it long ago, Flender muttered, and Yu Xiaogong's mouth twitched. That was exactly the kind of thing Flender might do. He loved money. About the second point, that's the key, Flender said. Yu Xiaogong shook his head. Only I knew. I always carried that little wooden box with me. You've known me for years, and you didn't know. Even little Sand didn't know where I hid it. Flender's mouth twitched. The guy had hidden money for years. Impressive in an irritating way. Then it's troublesome, Flender said, and we can't fully check the third thing, since you were unconscious and couldn't have seen anyone acting strange. Do you mean it could be one of them? Yu Xiaogong's voice perked up. Wait, I couldn't watch you every second. Remember when you were filthy and I hired some aunties to clean you up? Maybe it was one of them. A Spirit Hall card is small, easy to pocket, even if they didn't know how much was on it. It must be them. Come on, Flender. Let's go find it. Yu Xiaogong swung his legs over the bed and tried to get up. Are you all right? Flender asked, startled. No problem. The gold is important. Flender suppressed a gasp. You survived what Yu Luomian did to you, and your first worry is gold? He steadied Yu Xiaogong. This man really had guts, and helped him up. They headed for the square. When they arrived, they both paused at the bustle. What's going on? Yu Xiaogong asked. I don't know, Flender said. That looks like Dai Mubai up there. Zhao Wuji came over to Flender and explained the selection competition. Relief washed over both men. Perfect, Flender said. That means our Shrek Academy people can enter. He had faith in Tang San and the others. Though their spirit power was lower than Yu Tianheng and Yu Tianxin, they were in the same tier as many spirit elders. They had a real chance. Ning Yoyo stood on the rightmost arena with her 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda in hand. No support spirit master dared challenge her. On a different arena, Dai Mubai stood with arms folded, golden pupils fixed on the young man across from him. Yu Tianquang, your brother isn't even my match. Get down, Dai Mubai said coldly. Humph. Yu Tianquang was broad-shouldered, muscles taut, his short hair bristling like steel needles. Blue-purple electrical light coiled around his body. He grinned, showing stark white teeth. I heard your spirit is a white tiger? Perfect. I've got a soft spot for beating up cats. You're asking for death, Dai Mubai said. Yu Tianquang's right arm transformed, scales rippling as it took on a draconic shape. He launched a crushing punch at Dai Mubai's face and shouted, "Second spirit ability, White Tiger Shield." Chapter 186, Mahongjun was sentenced to death. Bang! Yu Tianquang's attack slammed into the White Tiger barrier and was deflected. Dai Mubai riposted with a White Tiger light wave, and Yu Tianquang answered with a surge of lightning. The golden orb of light and the crackling bolts collided, scattering sparks across the arena. "Mubai's still amazing. He's about to win," Flender said with satisfaction. "Just you wait. Winning will only make things harder," Yu Xiaogong replied. After learning the selection rules, he realized how much the contest tested spirit power. Conserving it was crucial. If a fighter burned too much early on, they might not have enough for the later rounds. Dai Mubai soon won the match. "Little San, I'm going too. Ning Yo-Yo and Boss Dai are on stage, so I'll go up too," Mahongjun grinned. "I think you've taken a liking to that spicy little girl, haven't you?" Oscar laughed. "Get lost." Mahongjun swaggered straight to stage 3. "Oh, another big fatty's come up. I heard you're a real flirt, fatty," Yu Liuli sneered from across the ring. 3 spirit rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, flared under Mahongjun's feet. A scorching heat rolled outward. He licked his lips and looked at the blue-clad figure opposite him. "Little Pepper, if my Phoenix Firewire singes your hair, will it make you prettier?" he teased. "Phoenix? More like a fat chicken," Yu Liuli sniffed. And with that, her first soul skill, Lightning Thrust, activated. She blurred forward in a streak of blue lightning, electricity crackling as she lunged straight for Mahongjun's face. "Oh, you're serious?" Mahongjun's body rocked, and his second soul skill, Phoenix of the Fiery Bath, flared. He twisted and narrowly avoided the electric bolt. "Little Pepper, you're not good enough," he taunted, sweeping his flames in a deft parry. His cheap bravado instantly inflamed the Thunder Academy students in the stands. The burly boys in the front row bristled, fists clenching. "This fatty's asking for death. How dare he flirt with our senior sister Yu?" The girls behind them flushed and screamed, "Senior sister Yu, roast him to a crisp." Oscar swallowed. He could feel hostile glares from every direction. "Little San, do you think they'll beat us to death?" "I don't know," Tang San said, dumbfounded. Mahongjun had no sense at all. Flirting openly with a student from the host academy was asking for trouble. Even if he won, he'd probably be ambushed and beaten later. "Third brother, I'll go too. It's getting dangerous here," Xiao Wu said. "Go, go," Tang San nodded. He still wanted to watch. Know yourself and know your enemy, then victory comes. On stage, Yu Liuli's anger flared. Her third soul skill activated. Blue-purple lightning armor covered her right hand, and 5 jagged claw shadows formed, accompanied by a ripping roar as they reached for Mahongjun's chest. "Shut that filthy mouth of yours." Mahongjun's eyes narrowed. He unleashed his third soul skill, Phoenix Wing Sky Soar. Huge fiery wings fanned out, creating a scalding wall of flame that blocked Yu Liuli's lightning claws. He popped his head out from behind the blaze, grinning slyly. "Don't be so impatient," he said. "Die!" Yu Liuli roared. Boom! Lightning and fire smashed together in the center of the arena, and the collision thundered through the crowd. Yu Liuli's face twitched with fury, veins standing out on her forehead. "Are you going to fight or not? Stop hiding!" "I'm fighting." Mahongjun's playfulness vanished. He was struggling. He'd used up a lot of spirit power earlier, and Yu Liuli's strength was formidable. His fiery wings beat faster, and he dove like a meteor. First soul skill, Phoenix Firewire. A scorching line of flame shot out toward Yu Liuli. She took it in, breathing deeply, and a second spirit ring flared to life. Second soul skill, Thunder Dragon's Roar. A deafening dragon's roar rolled out, thunder and electricity combining as it struck the Phoenix Firewire. The fire and lightning intertwined into a raging energy storm and shoved both fighters back several steps. Mahongjun was worse off. His first soul skill could not match the strength of her combined second soul skill. He barely held on. He won the match in the end, but the victory came at a cost. He had burned too much spirit power, and worse, had enraged the Thunder Academy students. Most of the spirit elders gathered near his ring. The students conspired to punish him. They forced Mahongjun to fight all 5 rounds, and in the middle 3 matches, they deliberately let him win while inflicting injuries, breaking his body with blows until he vomited blood. In the end, in a ring contest, there's no surrender. You're only finished when you're beaten. When the final opponent came up, they did not restrain themselves. Ma Hongjun was thrown onto the bluestone slab like a rag doll, his chest heaving, each breath a shredded agony. He tried to push himself up, but when he lifted his arm, he coughed up a mouthful of blood. He wanted to cry, but couldn't. He should have known better than to flirt. Tang San and the others from Shrek couldn't get to him. Crowds kept them back. Yu Luomian and the other Thunder Academy teachers watched without stepping forward. They had no sympathy. They had seen who'd started it. Their Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan protected their own. If you came to their academy, you obeyed their rules. Rebel, and you courted death. In their eyes, this horny fatty had been judged and sentenced by the academy itself. Afterward, they made a point of tormenting him, beating him half to death whenever he tried to join competitions. Ma Hongjun's hair was matted with dust and blood. His usually mischievous face was swollen, his left cheekbone bruised purple, a cut at the corner of his mouth still bleeding onto his already blood-stained clothes. He curled up, coughing and grimacing, as each spasm tugged at his wounds. Bloody foam clung to his lips. He looked utterly miserable. The Thunder Academy students still glared at him, restrained only by those around them. If no one had held them back, they'd likely have rushed to kick him some more. On stage, Dai Mubai, Xiao Wu, and Ning Yo-Yo watched the scene with trembling hearts. They kept a wary eye on the Thunder Academy crowd, hoping they wouldn't be forced to suffer the same fate. Ning Yo-Yo was safer. She didn't have to fight that day. But Dai Mubai and Xiao Wu felt panic. If they were treated like this for a careless word, they'd be finished. Flender, Yu Xiaogang, and the rest had already turned away from Ma Hongjun. There was nothing they could do. This was life under someone else's roof. If you didn't follow their rules, you paid the price. Chapter 187. Ma Hongjun, outraged by the public. The day's selection trials ended quickly. 6 members of Shrek Academy, everyone except Ma Hongjun, had successfully defended their platforms. Thunder Academy hadn't expected them to be so strong. The result left their students stunned. Tsk, what a shame, letting people from another academy take 6 spots, someone muttered. An academy that can produce a useless fatty like that is definitely not a proper academy. We need to step up and crush them tomorrow, another snapped. Yu Tianheng listened to the bickering with a helpless look. Even he wanted to teach Ma Hongjun a lesson for the way he'd mocked Yuliuli. Yuliuli was family. How could he let that slide? Now Yu Tianheng somewhat regretted inviting the Shrek members to Thunder Academy. He finally understood why Heaven Do Royal Academy had been wary of them. They were troublemakers. Tang San and the others slowly climbed down from the platform, feeling the hostile, almost predatory stares from the Thunder students. They shrank back instinctively. Little San, tomorrow's going to be rough, Dai Mubai said, a little flustered. Even though his combat ability was strong, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan had many members who could match him. Besides, they weren't in the same state as in the original events, no immortal herbs to boost them. It's all that fatty's fault, Xiao Wu said with disgust. He's disgusting and dragged us into this mess. Her spirit already struggled against the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. Tomorrow would be harder. Exactly. Disgusting, Zhu Linlin hissed. Her strength was only average. Now she didn't even have a chance to compete. She was furious. After the crowd thinned, Tang San and the others went back toward where Ma Hongjun lay curled up on the ground. Tang San turned to Oscar and said, "Oscar, give me a sausage." Oscar had just handed it over when Zhu Linlin, seeing Ma Hongjun on the floor and remembering everything he'd done, suddenly snapped. "What, you think I'd eat that, you idiot?" She spat, eyes blazing. She had always loathed Ma Hongjun's crude tongue and leering look. Though Zhu Linlin could be flirtatious and shallow at times, there were limits. She would never stoop to some disgusting man like him. Today, because of him, she might not get to compete at all. She'd had enough. "Serves you right for your foul mouth," Zhu Linlin snarled. She raised her boot and kicked Ma Hongjun hard in the waist. Ma Hongjun, already groaning in pain, cried out as the kick landed. Blood that had barely receded from his mouth trickled out again. "Look what you've done," Xiao Wu exploded, her temper flaring. With Yu Luomian and the others watching, she couldn't hold back. Before Tang San could stop her, she had already rushed forward and kicked Ma Hongjun as well. "Ah, Xiao Wu, what are you doing?" Tongsan's hand reached out in vain. He knew Xiao Wu too well. Once she made up her mind, nothing could pull her back. He couldn't have stopped that last kick. Part of him believed Ma Hongjun deserved it. He had no intention of escalating a public scene. He was the one making allowances for the dean. But as a control system spirit master, Tongsan avoided using hidden weapons or Tang sect techniques in open brawls. If Ma Hongjun ended up a little hurt, so be it. Still, this would complicate things. Flender moved forward to separate them, but Yu Xiaogang held him back. "Let them vent," Yu Xiaogang said calmly. "Ma Hongjun's mouth does need a lesson. Because of him, we might not be able to enter the competition together. But," he looked at the crushed, wailing boy on the ground, "he won't die." Flender could only accept that. He sighed. Ma Hongjun's behavior had been part of the problem. The boy didn't know how to keep his place. "Ow! My leg!" Ma Hongjun wailed as 2 more kicks landed. "Easy, easy, you'll break something," another voice scolded. Ma Hongjun writhed and rolled on the ground, clutching his head, his screams echoing through the competition venue. The noise drew more Thunder students, who gathered and jeered. "Ha ha! That's rich. The fatty got beaten by his own people. He brought it on himself. Are we going to take it easy on them tomorrow? No way. Thunder Academy should take the lion's share." "Good plan. Let's make them suffer." Their voices were loud and clear. Tang San and his friends heard everything, the humiliations of being guests under someone else's roof. They could do nothing. The rules didn't prohibit this, and Yu Luomian and the others wouldn't interfere. After a long while, Ma Hongjun staggered to his feet. He faced the hostile crowd with a shameful, awkward smile and tried to explain. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Who would have thought? They're all so petty." "Shut up," Flender snapped, grabbing Ma Hongjun by the ear and dragging him close. "Forget about the upcoming academy contests and the Soul Master competition. They won't let you go." "No, I'd rather die on the platform," Ma Hongjun blurted out, all bravado. "They might not kill you," Flender said dryly, frowning at his pupil's bluster, "but they'll hurt you bad." "I still want to try," Ma Hongjun insisted stubbornly. It was more bravado than reason. This mess was his own doing. "Sigh, fine, have it your way," Flender muttered, too tired to argue. "Everyone, go back and rest. Little San, come with me for a moment," Yu Xiaogang said. "Understood, teacher," Tang San replied. They walked to a quieter spot where no one was eavesdropping. Yu Xiaogang's face was serious. "Little San, do you know how many people have been to my room these past few days?" Tang San felt his heart drop. He'd been careful, but how could word have spread so fast? He thought of the gold coins and his late-night hopes. Damn it, he had underestimated how observant the dean might be. He didn't let it show on his face. "What's wrong, teacher?" Yu Xiaogang sighed. "My savings, my lifetime savings, were stolen. I want them back." Tang San instantly put on a look of shock and concern. "What, teacher, really? I'll help you." Yu Xiaogang's eyes flashed a rare, fierce light. "Good, we'll investigate together. I'll make sure the thief pays." Tang San bowed his head and forced a smile. Inside, he was already calculating what to do next. Chapter 188, Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun. Listen to music in the brothel. "Ha ha ha, this is really clever. You Luomians come up with a smart way to pick powerful spirit masters." Xiao Ze laughed. "It's pretty ingenious, but it'll be a problem if the chosen ones don't cooperate," Ning Rongrong said, cheeks puffed as she continuously nibbled strawberries. "That's normal. It's basically impossible for people from Shrek and those from Thunder Academy to cooperate smoothly," Duguyan said. "Right, Shrek's students like to brag about being monsters, but their current strength can't match Yu Tianheng or Yu Tianxin from Thunder Academy. It'd be hard to command them. Yu Luomian will definitely put either Yu Tianheng or Yu Tianxin in charge. He doesn't trust the Shrek students. But Yu Tianheng and Yu Tianxin aren't rear-line support spirit masters, which complicates things," Xiao Ze added. "Why worry so much? It's not our concern," Meng Yiran said. "You're right. We just need to focus on ourselves." "But are only 6 of us going?" Ye Lingling asked Xiao Ze. "I want 6 of us to go too, but the academy won't just let us go on our own. They'll name an official team and substitutes." "Still, it doesn't matter," Xiao Ze replied, shaking his head. "That's true. This time the Academy and His Majesty just want to show off their strength. They can't afford any mistakes," another voice said. "So don't overthink it." Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Thunder Academy's selection competition ended decisively. Among the Shrek 7, aside from Ma Hongjun, who had been heavily targeted, only Zhu Linlin, whose strength was insufficient, was eliminated. The rest secured spots with solid performances, though many were badly injured. Oscar and Ning Rongrong earned theirs through their spirit and spirit abilities. Yu Xiaogang's expression was grim, not because Zhu Linlin and Ma Hongjun failed, but because his 100,000 gold coins had vanished after 15 days, as if they'd evaporated. He had even gone to Yu Luomian for help and had been beaten and thrown out. Flender, on the other hand, was relatively pleased. Out of 14 spots, Shrek Academy had claimed 5, which was impressive. Still, Yu Xiaogang's lost gold was a crushing blow. On the stage, Yu Luomian and the two elders wore dark faces. They hadn't expected the students a certain good-for-nothing Yu Xiaogang's group brought along to perform so well. This time, Thunder Academy had lost face. Thankfully, all the winners would still represent Thunder Academy, Yu Luomian comforted himself. He stepped forward. After half a month of fierce competition, the Thunder Academy representative team selection is officially over. His resonant voice carried across the venue from the high platform. I now announce the roster of the Thunder Academy team. Captain, Yu Tianheng. Vice Captain, Yu Tianchen. The main team members are Tang San, Dai Mubai, Yu Tianquang, Yu Liuli, and Ning Rongrong. The substitutes are Oscar and Xiao Wu, he finished. The students below felt irked. They hadn't expected such a shock from Shrek Academy. 3 of the 7 main lineup were from Shrek, plus 2 strong substitutes. Many couldn't help feeling antagonistic. Phew, finally over. A few more days and I'd have died, Dai Mubai sighed. Yeah, it's all Fatty's fault, Xiao Wu said irritably. With my thin arms and legs, I had to fight every day. I nearly died. Ma Hongjun forced an embarrassed smile. During the selection, his standing had been the lowest. He'd really messed things up. The fights had been brutal. Even Dai Mubai had been beaten until he spat blood. Stop complaining. The important thing is we made it, Tang San said, rubbing his shoulders. His spirit didn't have much offensive power, and being challenged relentlessly had been exhausting. Soon everyone dispersed. Ma Hongjun glanced around furtively. Confirming no one was watching, he leaned toward Dai Mubai and lowered his voice. Boss Dai, it's been almost a month since we last went. Are we going tonight? Dai Mubai frowned and shot him a glare. You still dare bring that up? If it wasn't for you messing around at the selection, I'd have had an easier time and wouldn't be this exhausted. Ma Hongjun rubbed his hands together, smiling sheepishly. Hep, Boss Dai, I know I messed up. How about this? I'll treat you tonight. For a whole month. At that, Dai Mubai's eyebrow lifted and a satisfied smirk tugged at his lips. He slapped Ma Hongjun heavily on the shoulder. Smart, let's go. Arm in arm, they soon reached a lively street in Heavendew City. At the corner stood an ornately decorated pavilion with a gilded plaque above its entrance, Yihong Courtyard. Women in sheer, delicate dresses fluttered on every level, some leaning on the railings, some covering their mouths in coy laughter. Others waved silk sleeves, calling out invitations, the scent of makeup and alcohol drifting through the air. It wasn't even dark, yet nobles were already drifting inside. A sharp-eyed woman in crimson silk twisted her waist and linked her jade arm through Dai Mubai's, purring, "This lord is so handsome. I fell for you at first sight." Another in an emerald gauze dress pressed close to Ma Hongjun with a smile. "Tonight, won't Big Sister take a few cups with you?" Ma Hongjun's eyes narrowed into delighted slits as he nodded repeatedly. Yeah, let's go." Dai Mubai smiled and let the woman in red lead him inside, but he turned to raise an eyebrow at Ma Hongjun. "Don't get drunk and pass out again tonight, fatty." "It's not certain who'll pass out," Ma Hongjun shot back indignantly. Nearby, Xiao Ze watched the scene, stunned. "Goodness, to run into all this just walking down the street," he laughed. Ning Rongrong's nose wrinkled in disgust. "Sure enough, those two aren't good at all. Going to a place like that is revolting." "Exactly. Xiao Ze, you must never go to places like that," Duguyan said solemnly, clinging to Xiao Ze's arm. "Yan Jie, what are you saying? I've got you. You're more than enough for me. Are you saying you can't satisfy me?" Xiao Ze protested. Duguyan's ears reddened. "Don't be silly." The girls covered their mouths to stifle laughter. Yan Yanji is right. Even if you want to look, I'll be the one to do it. I'll find you talented ladies from good families. Those girls aren't worthy, Ning Rongrong declared, patting her chest with pride. Chapter 189, The Stunning Yihong Courtyard. Yelingling smiled. Rongrong, are you really doing this sort of thing now? Hehe, I do it for Xiao Ze's own good. If he went somewhere like this alone, we'd be worried. Ning Rongrong giggled, sounding delightfully foolish. Impossible. How could I go to a place like that? Xiao Ze said helplessly. You know my schedule, packed every day. I don't even have time to cook. I know, I was just teasing. Ning Rongrong puffed out her cheeks. You silly boy. Xiao Ze poked her cheek, pulled back, then poked again, amused by her antics. Xiao Ze, should we go in and teach Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai a lesson? Those two are unbearable, Duguyan said eagerly. Yan Yanjie, isn't that a bit much? The competition is coming up soon, Xiao Ze replied. He wasn't scared, but Yihong Courtyard was not a place to visit lightly. Good, exactly. Do it, Yan Yanjie. Ning Rongrong ignored his warning. She thought it sounded exciting. I'm in, Yilingling said. I agree. Meng Yuran raised her hand. She wanted some fun too. Things had been a bit dull lately. Whatever, Juju King said flatly. 3-1, Xiao Ze, come on, listen to us, Ning Rongrong urged. All right, but don't go too far. We can't afford to get hurt before the competition, Xiao Ze said. Since the girls wanted to play, he'd go along, partly because he was curious how they planned to deal with Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai. Xiao Ze, first, get out the stealth pills, Ning Rongrong began directing her little sisters. Okay, these pills work like the spirit beast variety. Unless someone's a titled Douluo, they won't see us. But once we act, we'll be exposed, Xiao Ze explained. They all swallowed the stealth pills. Follow me, Ning Rongrong announced, and, truly invisible, they strode toward the Yihong Courtyard. Xiao Ze watched, astonished. Just like that, they walked in unseen. As soon as they crossed the threshold, a rush of sound and the heavy sweetness of perfume hit them. Yihong Courtyard stood on the most luxurious street and catered to nobles and the very wealthy. In the center, a gilded stage hovered above a pond where a dozen dancers moved on the water's surface in nearly transparent gauze, golden bells at their waists, chiming with every turn, their motions scattering an illusion of mist and light. Around private booths, crystal wine vessels gleamed on wooden tables, amber liquor catching the glow of soul guide lamps. Noble young masters fed fruit to the beauties in their arms with gold spoons. Grapes clung to the girls' collarbones and were kissed and licked away. Behind red silk curtains on the second-floor corridor, pale feet dangled, bells tinkling amid laughter and soft gasps. Several girls leaned against pillars with red sashes around their arms, their chests half exposed. Music, sometimes quick as rain, sometimes lingering like a sigh, drifted from unseen instruments. The 6 of them, including Xiao Ze, stood stunned. These women are dressed even more revealing than the dancers from our 7 treasure-glazed tile school. Ning Rongrong clutched Xiao Ze's sleeve, her face flushed from earlobe to neck. She looked at the red-sashed girls and quickly turned away, but then saw a man embracing a girl and feeding her wine. She gasped, buried her face against Xiao Ze's chest, and clapped her hands over his eyes. Her palms were surprisingly hot. Don't look! This is filthy! If not for the stealth pill's sound-suppressing effect, they would have been discovered long ago. A dirty place, Ye Lingling said without expression, though her reddened earlobes betrayed her embarrassment. She took an instinctive half-step back, only to catch sight of a girl in green stuffing grapes into a man's lapel. She choked softly and lowered her gaze to stare at her shoelaces. Duguyan frowned, a mocking curl at the corner of her mouth as she glanced at the revelers. Meng Yuren watched with wide eyes, fingertips paling. Juzu King said nothing, only the tips of her ears flushed a deep red. Are you all frozen? Xiao Ze laughed, half amused, half exasperated. He tried to pull Ning Rongrong's hand away, but her grip tightened. This is the Yihong Courtyard. I told you not to come. You can't handle it, she mumbled into his chest, voice muffled and trembling. How can people be like this? It's disgusting. It's a business, and a consensual one at that. Whether those women truly have a choice, I don't know. We can't change everything by tearing down one place, Xiao Ze said, resigned. He didn't want to make a scene. Bringing down a single courtyard wouldn't solve the root problem. He patted her hand with an ironic smile. So, Are we going to continue? Continue. Duguyan stepped forward. We came all this way. We're not leaving now. The others nodded. Since they were already inside, they might as well see it through. Xiao Ze carefully removed Ning Rongrong's hand and, taking in the extravagance, couldn't help but click his tongue. No wonder so many nobles looked pale. How could they not after coming somewhere like this every day? If he sold aphrodisiac pills at the entrance, he might make a fortune. Truly extravagant, muttered the god of agriculture. God of agriculture, aren't you a bit too old to be looking at this? Someone teased. Mind your own business. At my age, can't I enjoy a little fun? The god of agriculture retorted, and Xiao Ze laughed. That figure always had a way of surprising him. Just look, no touching. Get lost. Xiao Ze, hurry, follow them. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun have already left, Ning Rongrong urged, tugging at his sleeve. Xiao Ze nodded. The group moved silently after Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun, slipping through the noisy main hall and up the red-carpeted stairs. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun walked arm in arm, swaying and flirting with the girls they passed. Boss Dai, we're not going home until we're drunk tonight, Ma Hongjun declared. You said that last time too, fatty. You collapsed after 3 drinks. Dai Mubai laughed and casually pinched a girl's waist, earning a playful protest. They reached a room at the end of the corridor. The door stood wide open, no sign of shutting. Xiao Ze and his companions had barely slipped behind a folding screen in the corner when Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun's raucous laughter filled the room. A moment later, light footsteps approached. Several young women in diaphanous robes entered gracefully, bearing silver trays piled with hangover soup and fresh fruit. They smiled, their skirts swaying to reveal flashes of pale skin beneath the gauze. Young Master Dai, feeling sober yet? A woman in red purred, her fingertip brushing Dai Mubai's chest. Dai, eyes bleary with drink, looped an arm around her slender waist and threw his head back in loud laughter. With a beauty at my side, I'm not drunk from wine. I'm drunk from you. Xiao Ze hid a wry smile. With their tolerances, these two would be out for the count in no time. Ma Hongjun wasn't about to be outdone. He took a wine glass offered by a woman in green, tossed it back, slapped his thigh, and called, "Come on, sit here." By now, some of the women's outer robes had pooled on the floor, leaving embroidered mandarin duck bodices and sensuous shoulders bare. Dai Mubai hooked a finger under the chin of the woman in red and murmured something that made her cover her mouth and giggle as she pressed closer. Ma Hongjun reclined heavily, the woman in green massaging his shoulders and legs while he made exaggerated approving sounds. Ning Rongrong's face had gone a deep, mortified red. She clapped a hand over her mouth, eyes wide, clearly unaccustomed to scenes like this. The others were equally stunned. Xiao Ze pressed a hand to his forehead and thought, "This is ridiculous. Are we here to make trouble or to get an eye infection?" Ning Rongrong tugged his sleeve and pointed desperately at Dai and Ma. He understood immediately. He held up a dark green pill between thumb and forefinger. Faint silver filigree shimmered across its surface, and a subtle, elusive scent rose from it. He looked at Ning Rongrong, Juju King, and the rest, covered his own nose and mouth with his left hand, and signaled with his eyes for them to hold their breath. The girls obeyed without hesitation. Xiao Ze crushed the pill gently. It turned to powder at once. He blew the dust into the air. The colorless, odorless particles drifted silently through the room like a thin mist. There was a soft thud. Ma Hongjun, who had been gnawing a roasted chicken leg a second before, felt his eyelids droop and toppled forward onto the couch, the chicken splattering to the floor. Dai Mubai, caught mid-laugh, faltered and collapsed beside him, immediately snoring. The women hurried to shake them. "Young Master Dai? Young Master Ma?" When there was no response, they exchanged looks, muttered, "They got drunk so quickly," and slipped out of the room. Xiao Ze pocketed the bottle with a satisfied grin. In a low voice, he explained, "Drunken soul pill. It only affects spirit masters. The stronger the spirit power, the faster it works. It doesn't touch titled Douluo or above." He glanced at the two snoring men and added wryly, "To ordinary people, it's just air." Ning Rongrong finally let go of her nose and beamed. "Let's get to work." Xiao Ze asked what they intended. "Xiao Ze, you go tie them up and stack them. Make a human pyramid," Ning Rongrong ordered. He hesitated, but as the only male present, he was the one who could handle the heavy bodies. The girls couldn't manage it alone. He drew a bundle of silk rope from his spirit tool. The girls looked at him with amused surprise. He flushed. "This rope's for tying things, not people," he mumbled, half-heartedly protesting. "No need to explain," Duguyan said with a teasing smile. "Just do it." He set to work. Ma Hongjun was laid face down, belly to the cushion, limbs splayed like a roast pig. Dai Mubai was placed face down across Ma's back, arms bound behind him, knees tucked and tied in a crisscross with Ma Hongjun's legs. Xiao Ze wrapped extra turns around their waists and bellies and finished with a dramatic bow. The rope tips brushed Ma Hongjun's nostrils. To make sure they couldn't burn their way free, Xiao Ze dabbed soul-suppressing powder on the knots. The powder pulsed with an eerie blue glow and would temporarily block their spirit power. "What else?" he asked. Ning Rongrong asked softly if he had that kind of medicine. Xiao Ze blinked. "What medicine?" he answered, baffled. Ning Rongrong blushed and lowered her voice. "You know, an aphrodisiac." Xiao Ze went pale. Her audacity stunned him. He scolded in a half-amused, half-exasperated whisper. "Rongrong, if you keep this up, they won't be able to show their faces." It turned out they didn't need an aphrodisiac after all. Yi Lingling, cheeks a little pink, withdrew a vial of red liquid from her spirit tool. "I have this," she said. Ning Rongrong brightened. "Phoenix Immortal Spirit Juice," she cried. Yi Lingling nodded. "Yes, it's used to write imperial edicts. The ink doesn't fade and is nearly impossible to wash off. It's rare," she added, a touch embarrassed. "I was using it for some pill experiments." Ning Rongrong's grin widened. She produced a small brush from her spirit tool and dipped it in the crimson liquid. With steady strokes, she wrote on Dai Mubai's forehead, "Fatty's bedwarmer attendant." On Ma Hongjun's brow, she wrote, "Boss Dai's exclusive mount." Xiao Ze drew a sharp breath. The ink was indelible. There would be no discreet removal. If they left like that, it would be social death. He couldn't help a laugh-turned sigh and gave Ning Rongrong a thumbs up. "Truly ruthless," he said, admiration and mischief in his voice. Chapter 191, Ultimate Social Death. "What nonsense are you spouting?" Ning Rongrong teased, giving Xiao Ze a playful slap, cheeks flushed. Everyone else thought her move had been delightfully vicious. "Why are you staring at me? I was just dealing with enemies. Not killing them is generous enough." Hands on her hips, she looked perfectly self-righteous. "That's true," Duguyan agreed quickly. As a Dugu, she was the first to accept it without fuss. "Is that all?" Xiao Ze asked. Let's go. We still need to shop," Ning Rongrong said, clapping. "The stealth pill still has some time left." Sensing no one was outside, Xiao Ze led the others away and left the door ajar. A little later, in Yihong Courtyard, a tea girl in a pale green embroidered dress carried a tray down the corridor. The silver hairpin at her temple twinkled as she moved. She was headed toward the next private room when a glimpse through an open door froze her in place. With a clang, the tray slipped, porcelain smashing and hot tea splattering across her skirt, yet she didn't notice. Everything else had vanished from her vision. On the floor inside, Ma Hongjun, the fatty, lay tied up like a roast pig, his round face pressed to the boards, half a pastry stuffed in his mouth. Pressed on top of him was a very handsome young man, arms bound behind him, handsome face buried in Ma Hongjun's neck. Breath stirred the fluff there. The most ridiculous detail, a giant bow tied around both their waists, the rope ends bobbing in time with the fatty's snores. It was as absurd as it was scandalous. This can't be right," the maid whispered, dropping her handkerchief. She'd been at Yihong Courtyard for years. She'd seen all kinds of romantic scenes, but never anything like this. 2 men in Yihong Courtyard? She hauled herself upright and shouted down the corridor, "Quick, come see! 2 men tied together!" The courtyard exploded. Courtesans in red and green skirts came running, lifting hems and peeking through the crack in the door. Some gossiped, covering their mouths to stifle giggles. Some widened their eyes. A few even pulled out little notebooks as if this were a new technique to add to their repertoire. "Oh my, look at those knots. So professional. Isn't that young Master Dai? He usually seems proper. I never expected this. With the fatty under him. Can he even breathe? Who knows, but they seem to be doing a very good job at playing." "I've learned this position," one whispered with wide curiosity. A few wealthy, half-drunk patrons pushed their way in, elbowing through the crowd. Let me see, one demanded, then spat his wine. Someone actually comes to Yihong Courtyard to play something this exciting? Another stroked his chin appreciatively. The way those knots are tied, skilled hands. It's a bit much, but are they eunuchs, refusing soft women and playing with each other first? Who can say, but it's certainly shocking. They come here often. Maybe they wanted to try something different tonight. The boss of Yihong Courtyard shoved through the throng and peered in. His face went white and his temper flared. What sort of impropriety is this? If the young masters think men are better entertainment than the girls, how much money will we lose? Inside the room, Dai Mubai felt consciousness returning slowly. Something soft and warm was under him. He could hear heavy breathing. He opened his eyes and saw Ma Hongjun's round, pastry-flecked face pressed to the floor, and realized, with a roar of outrage, that he was riding on the fatty. Holy! Dai Mubai shrieked, and his limbs bound, rolled off clumsily, and thudded to the floor. Ma Hongjun shot awake, confused, only to discover he was lashed up like a culinary display. Hands and feet bound, a huge bow cinched around his middle. What's going on? Ma Hongjun yelped, twisting and squirming uselessly. He wiggled his plump rear like a caterpillar, arched and strained, but couldn't turn over. Dai Mubai flexed and gritted his teeth, trying to break the ropes with sheer force. The cords didn't budge, and worse, he couldn't summon any spirit power. What kind of ropes are these? His face drained of color. He had fainted earlier. That wasn't like him. He was an excellent drinker. Something had been done to them. Who would do such a thing? Yu Tianquang? Xiao Ze? He'd angered a lot of people at Thunder Academy with his arrogance. Any number of rivals could be behind this. He wanted to find the culprit and kill them. Ma Hongjun fumbled desperately for his spirit as well, and immediately panicked when nothing responded. Boss Dai, were we ambushed? The two men strained against their bonds and then, mortifyingly, noticed markings on one another's foreheads. Boss Dai, there's words on your forehead, Ma stammered, and there's words on yours. Silence, then a faint rustle from outside as the courtyard crowd murmured delightfully. They're playing so intensely. Look at how artistically they tied them. Shrek Academy students really know how to have fun. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun exchanged an anguished look and saw the same phrase written on each other's forehead. I want to die. It was the worst kind of humiliation. Their faces broadcast a confession they never would have made. Boss Dai, what are we going to do now? Ma Hongjun's voice cracked. Tears threatened. Dai's jaw tightened. I don't know. If I find out who did this, I'll kill them. Ma Hongjun could only sigh and slump back. There was nothing else to be done. Dai Mubai's shame burned hot, and it was maddening to see everyone pressing closer, not to help, but to stare and gossip. They watched, taking notes and whispering, while the two of them remained immobilized and publicly disgraced, trapped, humiliated, and more mortified than any loss on the battlefield. Chapter 192. Discussion between Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun. Night had fallen, but Heavendo City stayed as lively as ever. Moonlight scattered across the bluestone streets, lending a pale silver sheen. Spirit tool lanterns along the road cast a soft glow, stretching long shadows behind the passers-by. Shops stayed open, their windows filled with spirit tools, rare herbs, and fine ornaments that glittered temptingly in the light. Laughter spilled out of the taverns. Nobles rolled by in luxurious carriages, curtains slightly parted to reveal a sliver of a guarded face. Patrol guards marched by every so often, their armor flashing coldly in the moonlight. Night market vendors hawked their goods, the smell of roasted meat mixed with the sweet stickiness of candied chestnuts on the cool breeze. Children chased each other, shrieking with laughter, clutching newly bought sugar figures. Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai kept their heads down, every sound of laughter grating on their nerves. Both wore grim expressions. The events of the day had left them wishing the ground would swallow them up. Boss Dai, you sure they won't tell anyone? Ma Hongjun asked. It's hard to say. There are some nobles we can't touch, Dai Mubai said, shaking his head. We're finished. In a few days everyone will know, Ma Hongjun muttered, rubbing his chubby cheek. He hadn't even had a girlfriend, and now he could forget about it. Sigh, who knew we'd get set up? Dai Mubai said helplessly. But Boss Dai, we didn't see anyone. Could it have been those women? Ma Hongjun frowned. It shouldn't be. We've all been with those women. How could they do something like this? Daimubai shook his head. What if they were paid? Ma Hongjin suggested. Daimubai's face hardened. That's possible. Those women made their living with their bodies. Morality was hardly a consideration. The idea wasn't far-fetched. But we have no proof, and besides, what's done is done. There's nothing we can do now, Daimubai said. Ma Hongjin clenched his teeth. Boss Dai, we can't just let this go. Even if we suffer later, we should drag someone down with us. Daimubai nodded slowly, eyes dark. Right, we have to make sure they go down with us. Let's go back and list who might want to do this. They hurried back to Thunder Academy. Few people were out. Most had retired to their rooms. Boss Dai, Fatty, you just getting back? Tang-san called when he saw them. The groan behind them made both men jump. Daimubai turned and forced an embarrassed smile. Little San, we dozed off. Just getting back now. That's right, Ma Hongjin chimed. Tang-san nodded. Then you two should get some rest. He wasn't a bad kid, but he wouldn't go to places like theirs. Women weren't as fun to him as his hidden weapons. When Tang-san left, Daimubai and Ma Hongjin both exhaled in relief. If only we could tell Tang-san. He's smart. He'd probably figure out who did this, Ma Hongjin muttered. Are you trying to get us killed? If word gets out, we'll lose all face. We can say the story's fake, whether people believe it is another matter. But if we start spreading it ourselves, even lies will be taken as truth, Daimubai warned. Got it, Ma Hongjin quickly agreed. He'd been the one to invite Boss Dai tonight. If anything happened, most of the blame would fall on him. He knew Dai would pull him down with him if worse came to worst. They went straight to Ma Hongjin's room and sat down. Let's list our enemies in the Heaven Do Empire, Daimubai suggested. Xiao Ze, Ma Hongjin said first. True, Daimubai agreed, but I don't think Xiao Ze would do something like this. With so many women around him, why would he go to Yihong Courtyard? Hard to say, Ma Hongjin shrugged. Like they say, home flowers don't seem as fragrant as wild ones. Daimubai's mouth twitched. He has 5 beauties at home. Would he be stupid enough to go elsewhere? Ma Hongjin hesitated. Maybe not. Next, Daimubai said, is Yu Tianquang. Since I beat him, he's held a grudge. Ma Hongjin frowned. But Yu Tianquang's a battle maniac, kind of simple-minded. Does he have the brains for something like this? Doesn't seem like it, Daimubai admitted. He'd been sparring with Yu Tianquang every day recently. Despite repeated defeats, Yu Tianquang kept coming back. He didn't seem malicious so much as single-minded, almost naive. Still, his motive put him higher on the list than Xiao Ze. Next is Yu Liuli, Daimubai continued. At that name, Ma Hongjin forced an embarrassed smile. Their Shrek team hadn't had many problems with Thunder Academy until he'd openly flirted with Yu Liuli. That had started the trouble, and even kept Zhu Lin and him from entering the Soul Master competition. Ma Hongjin regretted it deeply. Next time, he'd keep his flirting to himself. Yu Liuli's a woman. She wouldn't do something like this, would she? Ma Hongjin asked. Who knows? You know how stubborn she is. Women like that can do unpredictable things, Daimubai replied. That's true. Right now, she's a prime suspect, but it could be others from Thunder Academy as well. After all, we're their enemy now, Ma Hongjin said. You've got nerve saying that. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be in this mess, Daimubai grumbled. Yeah, I know. It's my fault. I didn't expect such a reaction. I used to provoke opponents in fights to throw them off, win easily. Ma Hongjin trailed off. Daimubai looked at him in disbelief. He'd long since figured out what Ma Hongjin was like, a man whose mind was often led by his desires, which always got him into trouble with women. Chapter 193, Rumors Spread. At dawn, Heavendew City's streets slowly came to life. Early rising vendors pushed wooden carts, calling out the morning's fruits and vegetables and steaming hot breakfasts. When the lids were lifted, white steam rose, carrying the fragrant aroma of noodles. At the tea stalls lining the road, spirit masters and ordinary townsfolk clustered in small groups, cups of hot tea in hand, faces flushed with excitement as they whispered about something. Oh my, you didn't see it! A man with a thin, pointed face and monkey-like cheeks rubbed his hands together, eyes bright with relish. According to the rumor, Boss Dai and Fatty, I couldn't bear to look. That's right, a brawny fellow said, giving a thumbs up and laughing loudly. I never imagined 2 people could go to Yihong Courtyard and do something like that. Truly amazing. Never would I have thought. Really? Is it true? An aunt selling vegetables nearby leaned over, her scale forgotten. They actually did those tricks at Yihong Courtyard? Of course it's true. Otherwise, how would it spread so fast this morning? Exactly. Next to the tea stall, several burly men who looked like mercenaries slapped the table and laughed. Auntie, don't worry, we saw it with our own eyes last night. Dai Mubai was tied up like a zongzi, completely pressed on top of Ma Hongjun, and the knots, very skillful. Ah! That's right. Yesterday I went home and tried it with my wife. Must say, being tied up has its own flavor, another spirit master said with a grin. A group of young girls hurried past, faces flushed, but they couldn't help straining to eavesdrop. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. How could people like that be allowed in Yihong Courtyard? It's a disgrace. A young man dressed like a noble fanned himself, disgusted expression fixed on his face, yet he couldn't help lowering his voice to ask, and then? How did it end? After all, they were seen. End? The vendor selling spirit beast fur chuckled. They say the owner of Yihong Courtyard nearly fainted with shock. He never expected something like that to happen in his place. If it had been a man and a woman, fine, but they were both men. I heard the owner look terrible. Ah! I can't breathe. Think about it. What kind of place is Yihong Courtyard? It's full of the most beautiful women, better than Moon Pavilion. And those two just ignored all that, with a taste for cut sleeves. How could the owner keep his face? I bet he wanted to kill them both. Yes, if this gets out, it'll ruin his business. The whole street buzzed with a strange, eager excitement. Some shook their heads in disgust, others laughed outright. Many swore they'd seen the two exposed to a crowd. Whether it was true, no one really knew. The patrolling city guards moved through and warned sternly, "Everyone, disperse, stop spreading rumors, or we'll take you in for questioning." Even so, as soon as the soldiers turned away, the gossip only grew louder. All morning, every corner of Heavendew City seemed to be whispering the same explosive news. It would be the tavern talk for months. Hey, have you heard? Last night, Boss Dai and a fatty were at Yihong Courtyard. Ha! Two big men doing bondage, even stacking themselves. I'm dying. Tang San's steps faltered, and he frowned. Xiao Wu, happily swinging her scorpion braid, pricked up her ears. Her big eyes filled with confusion when she heard the chatter. Sange, don't you think they mean Dai Mubai and that blasted fatty? Xiao Wu asked. Tang San wanted to explain, but thinking of Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun's cautious behavior the night before, and the way people were talking, he hesitated. In his gut, he thought it likely was them. Boss Dai and Fatty fit too well, and he knew those two were regulars at Yihong Courtyard. They had invited him once. He had refused. If it really was Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun, a cold shiver ran down Tang San's spine. He decided it would be best to keep his distance from them. Whether they truly had a taste for cut sleeves or not, staying away was wise. Let's go. Tang San started toward the academy, pulling Xiao Wu with him. Xiao Wu, however, tugged back on his sleeve, blinking her big eyes. Sange, let's listen a little more. I want to know what happened. It's not good, is it? Tang San admitted. He, too, was tempted to eavesdrop, partly to confirm it was Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun so he could avoid them. It's fine. Everyone on the street is talking about it. The gossip only grew more brazen. Some described the scene in lurid detail, which made Xiao Wu burst into laughter, clutching her stomach and leaning forward with tears in her eyes. Sange, I told you it was Boss Dai and Ma Hongjun. Just from the description I knew, she giggled. Ha! Boss Dai and Ma Hongjun, stacked on top of one another, tied up? This is priceless. Tang San rubbed his forehead helplessly. Xiao Wu, stop laughing. How can I not? Xiao Wu wiped her eyes and leaned close to Tang San's ear, winking mischievously. Think about it. Boss Dai is always so imposing, and he ended up underneath Ma Hongjun? Pwah! Tang San sighed and massaged his temples. Who knows what actually happened? Maybe they drank too much. But now it's all over the city. Shrek Academy will lose face completely. I'm afraid it won't just be Shrek, Xiao Wu said. Thunder Academy will be dragged into it too. Sigh. This is trouble. I hope Yulomian doesn't cancel Boss Dai and Fatty's spots because of this. That would be a real headache. Tang San said it helplessly. Those two loved their antics, and now look what had happened. Xiao Wu hooked her arm through his. Let's go find them and ask what really happened. Pulled along by her enthusiasm, Tang San went, already worrying about how to handle the awkwardness when he met Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun. Chapter 194. Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai's life is hopeless. Soon Tang San and Xiao Wu returned to Thunder Academy. In a hallway, they ran into Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai. Tang San opened his mouth as if to say something, then hesitated, his expression unreadable, unsure how to face the two of them. Xiao Wu had no such reservations. She blinked her big eyes, took a quick step forward, and, a mischievous smile on her face, whispered, "Hey, I heard you two were playing that human knot thing yesterday? How was it?" Pfft. Ma Hongjun spat out the water he'd just drunk. The item in Dai Mubai's hand clattered to the floor. Both of them turned rigidly, shock draining their faces into sudden paleness. They had expected the rumor to spread, but not this fast. Only one thought filled their minds. It's over. Xiao Wu, how do you know? Ma Hongjun's voice trembled. Xiao Wu, startled by their reaction, took half a step back and pointed innocently toward the street. The whole of Heaven Dew City is talking about it. People are gossiping about it everywhere. Xiao Wu's words hit like a thunderbolt. Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai's legs went weak, and they sank down onto the ground, staring blankly up at the sky. It's over, Dai Mubai murmured. My reputation, ruined just like that. Just let me die. Ma Hongjun lay flat on his back, utterly despondent. Tang San couldn't stand it any longer and cleared his throat. Actually, it's not that bad. They never mentioned your names, only Dai Xiao and Fatty, so you still have a chance. Instantly, Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun sat bolt upright, eyes burning as they stared at Tang San. The intensity of that look made Tang San step back a few paces. After all, these two were now caught up in something scandalous. Even if he didn't know the full truth, a little distance felt sensible. When they saw him draw back, the two looked awkward. Little San, is that true? Dai Mubai asked. Of course, Tang San said. Those people in Yihong Courtyard might not even know who you are. Don't mention it. That's exactly it. Our names were never revealed. We might have said names while drunk, but we never said we were from Thunder Academy. I don't even consider myself as from the Academy, Dai Mubai agreed. That's good. Even if they know my name, it's fine, as long as I don't admit it. Ma Hongjun patted his chest and breathed easier. But people at Thunder Academy might recognize you two, Xiao Wu whispered. Their faces tightened. It's not a big problem. There aren't many people here, and the exchange competition is coming up. Most of them won't be going out. Dai Mubai gritted out. Let's hope so. Tang San grew curious. So what exactly happened? I don't believe you're that kind of person. Ma Hongjun was on the verge of tears. We don't know. We went to mess around like usual. Then, somehow, we fainted. When we woke up, it was like you've heard. Dai Mubai remained silent, but nodded in agreement. Tang San frowned. It sounds like you were knocked out by something, some kind of drug. I thought that too, but we didn't smell anything at the time, except a woman's scent. Ma Hongjun's voice trailed off. Xiao Wu looked at him with disgust. Ma Hongjun immediately avoided her gaze. Saying something like that in front of a girl was embarrassing. If it was a drug, there are two possibilities. 1. The fragrance those women wore was laced with something to knock you out. 2. It was a colorless, odorless sedative, Tang San said, holding up 2 fingers. They considered it. Between the two, the first seems more likely, Dai Mubai said. We didn't see anyone else around for the second possibility. Of course, it could be those women did it, but that's hard to investigate. Tang San sighed. You two can only lie low and suffer in silence. After all, you probably have quite a few enemies. Could it be Xiao Ze? Ma Hongjun asked softly. Didn't we rule out Xiao Ze already? Dai Mubai frowned. I was just saying, Ma Hongjun protested, sounding aggrieved. Dai Mubai felt a little nauseated at his friend's complaint. He was a grown man and yet acting wronged? How pathetic. Tang San pondered a moment and shook his head. It's unlikely. I heard Xiao Ze rarely leaves Heaven Dew Royal Academy. He mostly cultivates inside his academy. Besides, why would he go to Yihong Courtyard? That's true. All right, you two should stay in your rooms for a few days. If students from Thunder Academy recognize you, you'll be in trouble. Even if they don't, you'll still have a huge headache. All right. Days passed. Fueled by Ning Rongrong's appetite for gossip, the rumors about Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai only grew louder. Ning Rongrong loved stirring things up. Cultivation could be dull, but dealing with scandalous people was entertaining. For 5 days, the two barely left their rooms, yet they still heard the whispers. Sai, do you think this Dai Xiao is our academy's Dai Mubai? The one with the white tiger spirit? It must be him. A Dai with heavy-set eyes? How many could there be? Then that fatty must be the one who molested our sister Liuli. Damn it. I knew something was off about two men doing such disgusting things. That's him. No wonder. Ha ha ha, we should make sure everyone in the academy knows what these two are really like. Exactly, we'll ruin their reputations. It's a shame they still have to take part in the competition. There's nothing to be done. Their characters may be despicable, but their strength is solid. True. One afternoon, the sun burning hot, the 14 team members representing Thunder Academy in the exchange competition stood in a neat line in the Academy Plaza. The mood in the group, however, was strange. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun hung their heads, cheeks flushed, wishing they could sink into the ground. Around them, other students' faces were full of amusement, glancing at the two with smirks. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun hadn't expected that trying to keep a low profile would backfire so badly. It was infuriating. What was so entertaining about spreading such a story? Chapter 195, 5 Elements Academy Exchange Competition opens. Tsk, is that them? A student from Thunder Academy whispered, nudging his friend and smirking. You can tell just by the looks on their faces. Must be them. Another snickered. They sure know how to party. Human pyramids, ropes, quite the imagination. The Shrek crowd is something else, someone else added. I'd heard rumors about Longyang tastes before, but I didn't expect them to get this creative. Right? They even left the door open like they wanted everyone to see. A few more suppressed laughs drifted across the hall. Every word landed like a blow to Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun. They stood there with sweat beading on their foreheads, toes curling, wishing the ground would swallow them. Flender and Zhao Wuji, leading the team, looked helpless. Flender adjusted his glasses and sighed. Ah, these two students. Zhao Wuji rubbed his temples. I've taught for years, but I've never seen anything like this. Who would? Even if they had unusual tastes, it shouldn't get out of hand like this, Flender muttered. Maybe they were just experimenting, Zhao Wuji suggested, pouting with distaste. He was furious at Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai. Shrek Academy already had a shaky reputation at Thunder. Now it was in tatters. Zhao Wuji regretted being associated with them. He wished he could cut ties like old Li and the others. At his age, he didn't want to keep chasing Flender's idealistic dreams. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun could hear the two teachers' conversation. Their faces shifted between green and red. Nearby, Zhu Lin watched Dai Mubai with a twitch at the corner of her mouth. She'd been wild herself, but always with men. Seeing him paired with Ma Hongjun was more than she'd expected. She felt a wave of disgust and avoided him. Oscar hovered nearby, watching the scene with a conflicted expression. In just a few days, his two close friends had become notorious across Heavenly Dew City. Life could be strange that way. Ning Yoyo had delayed recruiting Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai. If the rumors were true, she wasn't sure she could accept it. She liked things tidy. She might join Zhu Lin at a party, but she couldn't stomach anything that smelled like a mess. On the high platform, Eulomian and the other elders of Thunder Academy wore dark expressions. The glorious deeds of Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun had reached them, and their opinion of Shrek Academy dropped further. Humph, students taught by Shrek Academy? Is this the sort of conduct they promote? An elder sneered. They've brought shame on our academy, another voice agreed. Eulomian's eyes went cold. He thought, after the Soul Master competition, I'll find a way to expel every one of them. People who disgrace the academy can't stay. But with the exchange competition about to begin, he swallowed his anger and kept his tone measured. Everyone, prepare to depart. We'll show the other academies our discipline. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun fell into line with the team, but the whispers and muffled laughter from behind felt like thorns in their backs. The exchange competition hadn't even started, and they were already infamous throughout Heavenly Dew. Across town, at Heaven Dew Royal Academy, Xiao Ze and his group gathered at the academy gate. You 6 are the heavy hitters. These next few days are on you, Shimo said with a flattering grin. As a defense-type spirit master, Shimo had a role to play and his spirit power wasn't low. "Don't worry, we'll bring home the win," Ningrongrong promised, smiling. 7 substitutes, each at spirit elder level, stood behind them. Meng Shenji glanced at the sun. "Let's go." As hosts, the 3 deans should go together as a sign of respect. The exchange took place at the Tiando Great Spirit Arena. "Xiao Ze, I heard what happened with Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai. It's been all over Heavenly Do City the past few days," Ningrongrong teased. "Isn't that your doing? They've lost all face." Xiao Ze pinched her cheek. "I only added fuel to the fire for a day or two. I didn't think it would spread so fast." He understood. Gossipy news spread quickly when it was that juicy. "They have a match in a few days, right? They'll be mortified." "Ha ha ha, definitely. Everyone will be too busy talking about them to watch the fights," Meng Yuran laughed. "This is entertainment. We should do this again." "If there's a chance," Xiao Ze said. The Tiando Great Spirit Arena rose in the heart of Heavenly Do City like a coliseum. A gilded archway led into bowl-shaped stands. The lowest tier was for commoners, the middle for nobles with velvet cushions, and the top reserved for VIPs, or left empty if none were present. Under Shoye's guidance, the arena had been set up like the one used for the Soul Master competition, with multiple rings joined into one. The Soul Master competition was still a year away, but the configuration could be split up again later, and the arena was already profitable. When Xiao Ze arrived, students from many academies had gathered. The exchange was largely internal. Besides competitors, only teachers attended, so the crowd was smaller than a public event. "Haha, 3 deans! I didn't expect you to be so punctual," came a hearty voice. A burly figure strode up, every step kicking out a wave of heat. He wore a tight crimson suit that showed off mountain-like muscles. His short hair stuck up like steel needles, and beneath crimson brows, his tiger-like eyes flashed bright. "Is that the dean of the Blazing Academy?" Xiao Ze asked quietly. He didn't recognize many of the deans. "That's Huo Zhongjing," someone answered. Xiao Ze couldn't help but smirk inwardly at the name and the 9-iron haircut. "Do you want to shave it all off?" he thought, amused by the rough firebrand image the man projected. Chapter 196, Evolved? Huo Zhongjing looked at Xiao Ze and the others with a trace of surprise. "I didn't expect Heavendo Royal Academy to bring so many girls. If I didn't know better, I'd think this was Tianshui Academy." He said it bluntly, but with no real malice. A cuss behind him cut through the air, immediately broke out on Huo Zhongjing's forehead. Xiao Ze, watching, was surprised to see Huo Zheng actually startle at the sight of this beauty. A woman in an ice-blue robe approached with effortless grace. The robe clung to a flawless figure. Silver-white hair tumbled down her back and was pinned with a Luan bird hairpin carved from ice crystal. Her skin was as pale as snow, her lips like frosty cherry blossoms, and her eyes shone with crystalline chill. As she neared, the temperature within several zhang around her visibly dropped. Students had privately nicknamed her a walking ice sculpture. "Xiao Ze, this is Shui Yao, the current dean of Tianshui Academy," Ningrongrong introduced. "She's a spirit Douluo bonded with the frost deer spirit. She's led Tianshui Academy for over 20 years and pushed it to the heights of its history." "More than 20 years? How old is she?" Xiao Ze asked, astonished. Shui Yao's voice was cool and faintly amused. "I'm 39, child. It's not proper to discuss a young lady's age." She glanced at Xiao Ze with a hint of surprise. She hadn't expected to see such a handsome youth, and the closeness of the girls around him suggested an unusual relationship between them. Xiao Ze flushed and bowed his head in apology. "It's fine," Shui Yao said lightly and paid it no more mind. Soon after, the deans of the other academies arrived. Feng Rui, dean of Shenfeng Academy, Hu Yanzhen of Elephant Armor Academy, and from Thunder Academy came Yu Luomian. The crowd parted for them, and shock rippled through the onlookers when Yu Luomian appeared, unusually grave. "Where's Yu Ze?" Hu Yanzhen asked. "He's dead," Yu Luomian answered, his expression dark. He didn't mince words. Such a thing couldn't stay secret for long. Dead? The word hit everyone like a blow. Yu Ze had been a spirit saint, a top fighter in Heavendo City, and not old at all. At his peak, his spirit had been the blue lightning tyrant dragon. How could someone like him die? No one had heard anything about it. Uluomian watched their shocked faces and felt a faint, bitter relief. Their astonishment meant it likely had nothing to do with them. He did not want to believe any of the academies had targeted Xiao Ze. He'd searched for over half a month and found no trace of the killer. It was maddeningly difficult. The sect couldn't accept such a mysterious death either. How did he die? Huo Zhongzheng asked, curiosity overriding caution. It has nothing to do with you, Uluomian said coldly. Huo Zhongzheng scoffed inwardly. He'd never had a high opinion of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan. They were arrogant, but there was nothing more to be gained from pressing the matter. Everyone's here. Let's begin, Meng Shenji announced as his spirit power surged outward. The 3 deans and several academy leaders moved to the central competition arena. Xiao Ze and his companions took seats in the stands. The 6 of them sat a little apart from the crowd. Shimo and the others didn't want to be third wheels. Xiao Ze, do you think Dean Shuiyao is beautiful? Ning Rongrong asked in a low voice. Xiao Ze nodded without hesitation. Of course, she's very beautiful. Her bearing is like frost, serene and composed. Then you better win her over quickly, Ning Rongrong said, barely containing her excitement. Xiao Ze blinked in surprise. Duguyan and the other girls exchanged looks. Had Ning Rongrong just started matchmaking for Xiao Ze? What's wrong with that? Xiao Ze is outstanding. He'll be at the top of the continent someday. He needs virtuous wives and powerful allies to support him, Ning Rongrong explained earnestly. She went on, eyes bright. Dean Shuiyao is not only beautiful but gentle. She's also the dean of Tianshui Academy and insanely talented. My father told me Shuiyao's talent is even greater than the Clear Sky Douluos. She's only 39 and has been a spirit Douluo while running Tianshui for over 20 years. If she hadn't devoted herself to the academy, she might already be a titled Douluo. Everyone agreed. Shuiyao's talent was indeed exceptional. And she doesn't have a husband. She's still a virgin. Xiao Ze, don't you want to experience the charms of a cool beauty, an elegant older sister? Ning Rongrong teased, laying it on thick. Xiao Ze had to admit, embarrassed but honest. To be frank, you make it sound tempting. There you go. I have high hopes for you, Ning Rongrong said, patting his arm and grinning. Xiao Ze protested weakly. I'm just a kid next to her. She's much older. It would be difficult. What's difficult about it? Look, Liu Erlong seems totally into you, Ning Rongrong pouted, ever the matchmaker. Xiao Ze was speechless. He'd noticed Liu Erlong's strange attention too. Damn it, he was attracting women who fancied younger men. Ning Rongrong wasn't finished. Also, Huo Wu from Blazing Academy and the 2 sisters Shui Binger and Shui Yuer from Tianshui Academy are all rare beauties. Bag them all. She took out a small notebook and started jotting things down. Duguyan and the other girls watched, impressed. If Ning Rongrong wasn't the main wife, who would be? Her matchmaking instincts were uncanny, and the women she chose were top-notch. Meng Shenji's voice cut through the chatter. Today is the 5 Elements Academy exchange match. I won't waste any more words. The exchange match between the 5 Elements Academy and Heavendo Royal Academy officially begins. Nearby, 2 Tianshui Academy girls were whispering to each other. Sister, sister, look, there's a handsome guy over there, one of them said, tugging at her sister's sleeve. Shui Binger glanced where Shui Yuer pointed. Your eyes are good today. He is indeed handsome. See? I told you my eyesight is excellent, Shui Yuer crowed. But he seems to be surrounded by women. Looks like you're out of luck. Shui Binger shook her head. Sister, that's where you don't understand. If there was only one woman, it would be hard. But if there are so many, that means the difficulty goes down, Shui Yuer replied confidently. You want to be the 6th? Shui Binger sighed. That's not all. I'm not just looking at appearance. I have to judge character and talent too, Shui Yuer said primly. Shui Binger gave her a long look, then blurted, You have evolved? Chapter 97, Huo Wu's Malice? Feeling someone watching him, Ning Rongrong gave a mischievous smile, patted Xiao Ze's firm arm, and lightly poked the tensed muscle with her fingertip. Xiao Ze, look, those 2 girls are staring at you. Xiao Ze turned toward where she pointed. Not far off, 2 exceptionally beautiful women were looking in their direction. One had a willowy figure and long water-blue hair that cascaded like a waterfall, slightly curled at the ends. Her skin was as fair as snow, but not an icy glare. Rather, it had a soft, dewy quality, as if it could glisten. Her features were not immediately striking: slender brows like mist-veiled mountains, eyes like clear autumn water, a delicate nose, and pale lips, but the more one looked, the more her beauty revealed itself in layers. The Tianshui Academy uniform made her appear even more ethereal. An ice blue skirt hugged her narrow waist and showed a pair of long, straight legs. White knee socks, with delicate snowflake embroidery at the cuffs, completed the picture. In 2 words, extraordinarily beautiful. Beside her stood a livelier girl, wearing the same Tianshui Academy uniform, but in a completely different style. Shui Yuer's skirt was shorter, revealing more of her fair thighs. She had deliberately pulled one of her white socks higher than the other, giving off a playful, coquettish air. Slightly shorter than her companion, she nevertheless had excellent proportions: long, straight legs, a slim waist, and a full bust that radiated youthful vitality. Her water blue hair was cropped to her shoulders, flipping up at the ends. Her eyes were large and bright, their lighter ice blue pupils always glittering with curiosity. When she smiled, her eyes curved into crescents and 2 small canines showed. When she looked at Xiao Ze, her whole face seemed to light up. She blinked and did not bother hiding her obvious infatuation. Shui Binger, the long-haired girl, gave Xiao Ze a slight, polite nod. Her fingertips unconsciously stroked the snowflake embroidery on her cuff, and a subtle ripple, almost imperceptible, flickered within her ice-blue eyes. Shui Yuer, by contrast, was much bolder. She blinked and shot Xiao Ze a brilliant smile, dimples faintly visible, showing clear interest. "The short-haired one is Shui Yuer, and the long-haired one is Shui Binger," Ning Rongrong said. Xiao Ze withdrew his gaze and looked back at Ning Rongrong. "So?" Ning Rongrong chuckled. "So? Those 2 sister flowers from Tianshui Academy are looking this way. That Shui Yuer looks like she has her eye on you." "It's still too early for that," Xiao Ze said, shaking his head. He hadn't even spoken to them. "Anyway, the exchange competition schedule is long. We've got plenty of time." The exchange tournament consisted of 2 parts: team matches and arena matches. The team portion was 7-on-7 one-on-one matches, 3 matches per day over 5 days. Only the top 3 teams from the team matches would advance to the arena matches, which could be completed in a single day. Altogether, the event would last 6 days. On the opposite side of the stands, a woman with dark red, wavy hair watched Shui Binger and Shui Yuer staring at a man and felt a surge of displeasure. Isn't he just a handsome guy? What's so special? Isn't it more important to focus on our matches? Damn it. Her resentment left a faint trace of malice in Xiao Ze's direction. Xiao Ze looked up and met her gaze. She resembled a living flame: jade-fair skin, clear complexion, delicate features, and large eyes that shimmered with a faint silver light. Her golden-red team uniform outlined a tall, well-proportioned figure. A form-fitting battle skirt hugged her slim waist and flared slightly at the hem like tongues of fire, revealing a pair of long legs. Xiao Ze frowned. This had to be Huo Wu, so why was she looking at him like that? He hadn't done anything to her. What was this faint malice about? He meant to find out. Huo Wu, what are you staring at?" a voice called. Feng Xiaoqin, one of her admirers, had come up beside her. Huo Wu snapped her gaze away and faced Feng Xiaoqin with obvious disgust. "Can you please not come over to our side? We're in the middle of a competition. If you hover here and Shenfeng Academy loses to us, people might think Blazing Academy cheated." Feng Xiaoqin had been used to Huo Wu's coldness since childhood. It didn't stop him from liking her. No, I'd never take it easy on you," he laughed. Huo Wushuang, who had been watching the exchange, thought that the 2 of them were likely hopeless together. They'd been childhood sweethearts, and Huo Wushuang wanted them to work out, but the odds were stacked against them, almost impossible. Besides, his little sister's attention was on that man, and the man was indeed striking. Even Huo Wushuang, a man, admitted the man's handsomeness. So Feng Xiaoqin probably had no chance. What a pity. "Third brother, that's Xiao Ze." Xiao Wu tugged on Tang San's arm. "I see him," Tang San replied. Seeing so many women around Xiao Ze, he felt a twinge of envy. This was every man's dream. Daimubai felt the same. Oscar and Ning Yuyo were whispering among themselves. Ning Yuyo seemed distracted, though. Her gaze kept returning to Ning Rongrong. If Thunder Academy wanted revenge on the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, Ning Rongrong, its young mistress, would be an unavoidable target. If Thunder Academy could beat Heaven Do Royal Academy in the exchange, it might deliver a small blow to the prestige of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School. But Ning Yo-Yo wasn't sure their team, newly formed and only average in cooperation, could pull it off. On stage, Meng Shenji and the other deans began drawing for the first day's matches. Meng Shenji glanced at the name he'd drawn and smiled. Huo Zhongzheng, I didn't expect our two academies to be paired on the first day. Ah, I heard your Heaven Do Royal Academy is very strong this year. My daughter and son are both here this year as well, so let's have a good match, Huo Zhongzheng laughed merrily. All right, Meng Shenji said. He still wasn't entirely sure of Xiao Ze's strength, but Xiao Ze had beaten Yu Tianheng a while back, so he couldn't be weak. And Xiao Ze's spirit power was at the spirit ancestor level. Blazing Academy didn't have many spirit ancestors, while Heaven Do Royal Academy fielded 5 this time. An unprecedented lineup. Perhaps within a year they might have even reached the Spirit King realm. Meng Shenji didn't understand exactly how they had improved so fast, but he was inclined to credit Xiao Ze for the Academy's rapid advancement. He had no idea that each of those spirit ancestors had absorbed spirit bones over 10,000 years old to reach their current levels. Chapter 198, Tiando Royal Academy vs. Blazing Academy. Heads up, contestants from Tiando Royal Academy and Blazing Academy, please take the stage, the referee announced through a spirit tool microphone. Let's go, it's our turn, Xiao Ze said, rising slowly. What are you doing? Du Guyan asked, noticing Shimo's slight tremble. Big sister, I'm a little nervous. It's my first match with all these seniors. I don't want to mess up, Shimo admitted. Xiao Ze patted his shoulder. Shimo, don't be so nervous. You're a defense-type spirit master, and your spirit is the Black Tortoise, an excellent defender. You only need to hold off one person. The rest is on us. Got it. Don't worry, big brother. I'll block one person for sure. Shimo nodded earnestly. For him, that was already a modest task. Any less, and he wouldn't even be needed. Both teams stepped onto the competition platform. The crowd watched the field intently. Goodness, Tiando Royal Academy already looks like Tianshui Academy. Only 2 males, someone murmured. There's definitely an imbalance, more girls than boys. But the guy leading them is really handsome. Yeah, very charismatic. Huowu inspected Xiao Ze up close. Although surprised by his look, she was irritated. Why was this handsome stranger getting attention instead of her? Damn him. Damn Shui Yuer and Shui Binger. Sensing Huowu's slight disdain, Xiao Ze asked, puzzled, Miss Huowu, have we met before? You seem to dislike me. Huowu nodded coldly. You do. I don't like you. Why? I don't remember ever meeting you, Xiao Ze said, genuinely confused. Huowu Shuang and Du Guyan exchanged a shrug. They didn't know her either. No reason. I just don't like you, she tossed off. Xiao Ze froze for a moment. He'd actually run into a little fairy who disliked him at first sight. He made a mental note to teach her a lesson later. What kind of attitude was that? Prepare for the match, the referee barked, raising his hand. Spirit assimilation. Streaks of yellow and purple light flashed as spirits began to manifest. When Huowu caught sight of the spirit rings on Xiao Ze's body, her pupils contracted. The previous chatter in the audience died away, all eyes fixed on the 4 spirit rings rising beneath Xiao Ze's feet. Yellow, purple, purple, purple. How is this possible? Someone stammered. The second spirit ring is actually a 1,000-year purple ring? The crowd erupted. This was only a friendly match. Otherwise, the commotion would have drawn warnings from the officials. Am I seeing things? How can the second ring be purple? Oh my god, this is beyond reason. Monster. This is a monster. Except for Tang San and a few others who already knew Xiao Ze's spirit ring configuration, everyone was stunned. Good, the 4th ring isn't 10,000 years. Tang San breathed, relieved. Third brother, there's a huge gap between the 2nd and the 4th spirit ring. It's not that easy to break the limit, Xiao Wu added. Yu Xiaogang murmured to himself, regretful. He'd argued with Xiao Ze earlier. If Xiao Ze had been at Shrek Academy, the academy wouldn't be in such dire straits. But regret was useless in this world. Across the stands, teachers from other academies let their teacups slip from numb hands, scalding liquid splashing onto robes as they stared, oblivious to the burn. Isn't the limit for the second spirit ring supposed to be around 700 years? How could he possibly hold a 1,000-year ring? Someone whispered. A spirit ring configuration that breaks common sense. Meng Shenji watched the crowd's faces and felt a flush of satisfaction. This was what showing off felt like. He lifted his voice, carrying spirit power. Quiet! Everyone, be quiet! The chatter cut off, but excitement lingered. They all wanted to know how Xiao Ze managed this. Xiao Ze felt the attention. It was a good thing he'd taken pills beforehand, otherwise a full set of 10,000-year rings would have scared everyone to death. You, what's with your spirit rings? Huo Wu asked bluntly. Why should I tell you? Xiao Ze answered coldly. Fine. Don't tell me, she snapped, all huff and hauteur, very much the spoiled little fairy. Xiao Ze decided all the more firmly he would teach her a lesson and find out why she disliked him without reason. Begin the match. The referee returned to his post. Xiao Ze called forth spirits in quick succession. Guangyao, Dizun, Qingliv, Chikai. He had learned to save surprises. Though he could summon more than a dozen spirits, he only manifested the same number as his spirit rings, enough to confuse opponents while keeping a trump card hidden. New summoned beasts have appeared. What kind of spirit is his? Tang San frowned. Summon system spirits were rare and poorly documented. None he'd studied matched Xiao Ze's. It must be a mutation, Yu Xiaogang said, expression sour. Other people's mutated spirits were terrifying. His own mutated spirit felt useless by comparison. The gap between people could be huge. Tang San, watch the abilities of his summons carefully and see if there's a way to counter them, someone advised. On the field, Huo Wu stared at the 4 newly manifested summoned beasts. A summoned system spirit, rare. Sis, be careful. They don't look ordinary, Huo Wu Shuang warned. Among their group, only he and Huo Wu were spirit ancestors. On the other side, apart from 2, most were spirit ancestors. The strength gap was visible. Back with Blazing Academy, Huo Jun and Huo Chuai, 2 support-type spirit masters, exchanged a look and cried out in unison as their first spirit rings flared. First soul skill, Fire Spark Silk. In an instant, dozens of hair-thin fire threads shot from their palms, weaving precise connections to their teammates. As the threads linked, the aura of everyone from Blazing Academy surged, spirit fluctuations intensifying, their bodies seeming to burn with inner flame. Charge! Huo Wushuang ordered, and the Blazing Academy assault began. The battle was about to erupt. The audience leaned forward, eyes wide. This was the first friendly match of the day, and both sides were top-tier teams. Huo Yun, Huo Yu, and Huo Li, 3 agility attack spirit masters, moved like lightning, each charging in from a different angle to punch through Heavendu Royal Academy's formation. Their speed left trails of scorching light behind them, like 3 meteors streaking across the battlefield. At the same time, Huo Wushuang's 3rd spirit ring flared to life. His muscles bulged, his hands transformed into razor-sharp dragon claws, golden red light rippling across his scales. Flames roared over his body, heating the air into shimmering distortion. He let out a low roar, planted his foot, and hurtled toward Xiao Ze like a cannonball. Xiao Ze stayed calm and barked orders. Zhu Qing, handle Huo Yun on the right. Zhu King blurred into a black shadow and intercepted Huo Yun instantly. Yiran, Shimo, you 2 take the left. Stop Huo Yu and Huo Li. The pair sprang into action. Rongrong, buff! Ning Rongrong's 8 treasure glazed tile pagoda shone, sending enhancement lights across her teammates and instantly boosting everyone's speed, strength, and other attributes. With the Phantasm Star glazed crowned skull, her spirit abilities consumed 30% less spirit power, letting her sustain many buffs at once. Her enhancement ability was far stronger than before. Lingling, act independently. Yanyan Jie, protect Lingling Jie, then respond as needed. Understood. Ye Lingling nodded slightly. Her 9-heart Saint Lotus blossomed quietly, ready to heal at a moment's notice. Duguyan stood at her side, eyes sharp and scanning the surroundings. Something's off. Jilin frowned. What is it? Meng Shenji asked. Look at Ning Rongrong and Duguyan's spirits, Jilin said quickly. 8 layers. Bai Baoshan's pupils tightened. The 8 treasure glazed tile pagoda. And that girl Lingling's spirit has changed too, so pure, so sacred. Their spirits evolved. Meng Shenji and the others exchanged glances. How is that possible? Jilin muttered. How would I know? We didn't teach them anything. Meng Shenji shook his head. It must be related to Xiao Ze. Du Guyan and Ye Lingling weren't advancing this fast before, nor had their spirits evolved. Bai Baoshan and Jilin nodded. Others nearby noticed as well. Most spirits on the field looked normal. Few people recognized them deeply, but Ning Rongrong's 8-treasure glazed tile pagoda was unmistakable to anyone with a keen eye. 8-treasure glazed tile pagoda! It really is! Yu Xiaogang exclaimed excitedly. How did she do it? Flender asked. I don't know. Yu Xiaogang didn't feel like answering Flender. He just wanted to know how Ning Rongrong's spirit had evolved. If his own could, maybe he could reach Spirit Elder rank. But that was wishful thinking. On the battlefield, while directing his team, Xiao Ze's mental force communicated with his spirits, issuing internal commands. Guang Yao, use Dawn Guidance. Di Zun, Qi Kai, stop Huo Wushuang. Qing Leave, long-range interference. Pure light flashed over Guang Yao's sunflower petals, an ethereal dawn mark landing on Qi Kai. When that mark stacked 3 times, it would trigger a light explosion and grant 20% lifesteal. Dizun and Qi Kai moved to confront Huo Wushuang together. Huo Wushuang glared at the 2 summoned beasts. Flames condensed at the tips of his claws as he swung them and slammed them toward Dizun with brutal force. Break! Dizun showed no panic. Its massive pod shell snapped shut. Pod armor armament. Boom! Huo Wushuang's dragon claws smashed into the shell like a hammer against an unshakable mountain. He couldn't break through. Instead, he was hit by a violent counterforce. His arm went numb, and he was forced back a step. A bounce skill? Annoying, Huo Wushuang muttered. No, not just a bounce. There's increased defense, too. He frowned, shook his numb arm, and a hint of solemnity crossed his face. His plan had been to rush through Heavendo Royal Academy's formation quickly. The others were meant to be bait. He hadn't expected they could be stopped, yet now it seemed he might not be able to either. Xiao Ze was unexpectedly strong. Xiao Ze watched as Dizun blocked Huo Wushuang and nodded slightly. Dizun's pod armor armament provided 80% damage reduction and reflected 30% of incoming damage. It wasn't something Huo Wushuang could shatter easily. Dizun was also epic grade now. Even if Huo Wushuang kept attacking, Dizun could withstand it for a long time. He might even end up being hurt by the reflection first. As Huo Wushuang was repelled, Qi Kai closed in. Swish, the crimson greatsword slashed, scorching sword energy fanning out and forcing Huo Wushuang further back. Then Qi Kai suddenly dual-wielded greatswords, hacking wildly with relentless fury. No defense, only offense. Its blood boil frenzy had transformed its shield into a second greatsword, and its attack power skyrocketed. Huo Wushuang was suppressed and pushed back repeatedly. He couldn't even get near Xiao Ze, let alone attack him. Damn it, he ground his teeth. Xiao Ze's strength had exceeded his expectations. Unable to break the blockade of the 2 spirits, Huo Wushuang abruptly took a step back and pressed his hands together in front of his chest. Spirit power surged, coalescing into a palm-sized orb of dark red light. Go! He roared and launched the orb straight at Xiao Ze. Xiao Ze stood unmoving, expression calm, no sign of evasion. Whoosh! 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 3 emerald green energy beads fired from Xiao Ze's side and struck Huo Wushuang's dark red orb with precise timing. Bang! 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 The orb exploded into sparks in midair. Xiao Ze's lips curved slightly as he regarded Huo Wushuang with detached coolness. Qingluv was his half-bodyguard, always ready to intercept. At the same time, Guang Yao's flower disc spun, unleashing a dozen light blades that traced a spiral and hunted down Huo Wushuang with weak tracking, enough in this case to reach him quickly. Brother, be careful, Huo Wu's clear voice rang out. Her slender figure flashed. She had already appeared behind Huo Wushuang. She flung her arms wide, and her 3rd spirit ring flared. 3rd spirit ability, Repulsive Fire Ring. Chapter 200, Twin Snakes Attack. A scorching ring-shaped flame burst from her, spreading outward in a circle of crimson fire. A searing crack filled the air, and the 6 blades at the front shattered the instant they struck the ring. Huo Wu's pupils suddenly narrowed. The remaining light blades actually pierced the fire ring, only dimming a little. How is that possible? She whispered. These light blades were far stronger than she'd expected, and this was only one of Xiao Ze's summoned beasts. He had 4 of them. A complicated expression crossed Huo Wu's face. Unlike Liu Erlong, whose loyalties were sentimental and long-standing, Huo Wu favored raw power. She admired strength. the overwhelming kind. Little sister, Huo Wuxuang snapped when he saw Huo Wu frozen in place. He stepped in front of her, crossing his arms to shield his chest. Clang! Sparks flew as the remaining light blades hammered his defenses. When the last blade dissipated, Huo Wuxuang grunted and staggered back 2 steps. The scales along his arm were threaded with fine cracks, and several deeper wounds bled through. Brother, Huo Wu finally returned to herself. It's fine. We're in a match. Don't think about anything else. Across the arena, the other fights were no less fierce. On the right, Huo Yun's fire crane spirit wings unfurled from his back. Scorching flames danced along his feathers, making him look like a burning bird. You call yourself an agility attack spirit master? I'm an agility attack spirit master too, but I can fly. In the face of my fire crane, your speed is meaningless. Zhuzu King didn't answer. She lowered her stance, spirit power condensing at her fingertips, eyes cold and focused. Huo Yun sneered and went on the offensive. His 3rd spirit ring suddenly flared. 3rd spirit ability, Fire Crane Clone. In an instant, his form split into 3, like 3 blazing cranes beating their wings, converging on Zhuzu King from different angles. Scorching waves rolled outward, making it hard to tell real from copy. A sliver of ice flashed in Zhu Qing's gaze as her 1st spirit ring lit up. 1st spirit skill, Hell Rush Stab. Her speed doubled. She became a black afterimage and stabbed straight through the leftmost Huo Yun clone. The clone collapsed into sparks. Too fast. Huo Yun's pupils widened. He hadn't even reacted before his 1st clone vanished. Zhu King's spirit was no longer Hell Civet, but Dark Knight Monarch, far faster, and with Ning Rongrong's amplification, there was no one on the field faster than her. Before he could regroup, she was already back, her 2nd spirit ring flaring. Her body spun, her cat claws turning into countless black streams of light that rained down. Huo Yun slammed his wings shut to defend, but every strike landed precisely, shredding burning feathers. The claw blades pierced the flames. Huo Yun grunted as dozens of blood marks bloomed on his arms, and a cold spirit power seeped through the wounds, corroding his meridians. Gritting his teeth against the pain, Huo Yun shook his wings violently and unleashed a tremendous fire wave to push her back. Feathers exploded outward like arrows, covering the area where Zhu King stood. Fire feathers came from every direction, leaving almost no opening. But Zhu Qing was nimble. She weaved through gaps, though a few feathers grazed her shoulder and left charred marks. The damage barely mattered. Before the blood could even darken, a pristine lotus petal drifted down and healed the cut. Damn it! Huo Yun spat. He glanced toward Ye Lingling. There was a healing-type spirit master on the other side, and if they didn't eliminate her, they had no hope. It's time to end this, Zhu King whispered. Her 3rd spirit ring flared. 3rd spirit ability, Hell Decapitation. Her hands came together above her head. Her 10-fingered claws merged into a foot-long black blade as she poured in spirit power. Slash! A pitch-black, crescent-shaped blade tore through the air. Huo Yun tried to block, but Hell Decapitation couldn't be stopped so easily. His flaming wings were split apart. The force hurled him out of the arena, and he crashed heavily to the sidelines, eliminated. Zhu King turned and returned to Ning Rongrong's side. Ning smiled and gave a thumbs up. Zhu King, well done. The crowd in the stands swallowed hard at the sight of the Blazing Academy's dismantled lineup. Holy cow! This year, Heaven Do Royal Academy is ruthless. Their captain is a spirit ancestor who can handle 2 spirit ancestors at once and still has room to spare. And the rest of their squad is packed with power. The 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda's support is top-notch, healing too. There's one healer who hasn't even moved yet. Look, over there, the other match is about to be decided. On the left, Huo Li spread his arms and condensed 7 blistering fireballs, arranged like the Big Dipper. Each held explosive force as they roared toward Meng Yuran. Meng Yuran barely glanced at him. These 2 were not on her level. 4th spirit ability, Dual Snake Frenzy. Her snake staff trembled, and 2 colossal energy snake shadows surged up from the ground. One was pitch black, scales like steel and eyes blood red. It gaped and chomped down on the incoming fireballs. Boom! 3 fireballs were torn apart inside its maw, and the explosions were snuffed out harmlessly. The other snake was emerald green. Venom misted from its flickering tongue, its spirit corrosive poison fierce. It opened wide and vomited a torrent of dark green venom that swallowed the remaining 4 fireballs. The flames dissolved in the venom without ever exploding. Huoli's eyes went wide. What? Big Sister is awesome! Shimo was fully a spectator now, clapping excitedly. You're taking it too far. You're supposed to fight me. Huoyu scolded, half laughed, half irritated, as the match swung decisively in Heaven Dew Royal Academy's favor.